Hello, 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 and yes, it's unlimited rice pudding all round. You get unlimited rice pudding, you get unlimited rice pudding, you get unlimited rice pudding. Yes, it's unlimited rice pudding for everyone. Yeah! I am so chuffed to be here with Merchandise Paradise Live. Hello, Who viewers. Why does it feel like I haven't seen you for ages? I have no idea at all, but it is lovely to see you. Thanks very much for coming and talking to us. I'm going to get straight to the chat if I can very well, because I know a lot of you are in there, so I just want to say a lot to you because I've been watching you. Yes, I have. And I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's already been chatting. Absolutely fantastic to see. And I want to say thank you very much to Lex. Lex, thank you so much for your super chats. He can't make it tonight, but he has sent us messages. And basically the message is, listen, he's so pleased about the season 25 Blu-ray box set coming along into the limited editions, and he says it was his first encounters with the Daleks and the Cybermen, and he's also looking forward to the excellent remasters and the new effects. Fantastic news, and he can't wait. You're gonna have to wait a little bit, Lex, because you can pre-order it now, but of course it's not coming out until October. So that's a bit away, isn't it? So, but anyway, we're going to go to that. Martin is saying to us here as well. Hello, Martin. Something to look forward to roll on October. Exactly. Thank you. Hello to Cara. Cara Hughes is joining us. Nice to see you. Divining Dragon is with us. And DD is saying, I like to see the entirety of the Blu-ray special editions of every year, from Hartnell's first to McCoy's last, even the missing stories fully reconstructed in an epic box set. Can you imagine the cost? Can you imagine the cost? It's a nice idea. Also, I'm just thinking shelf space. I mean, how would that look? How would that look? I'm not too sure on that one, but thank you, DD, for your comment there. Who else? We've got Michael is here. Michael is Q with us. Michael Q is with us as well, saying 25 years, says Ace. The Seventh Doctor, it's been 25 years since I arrived on your planet. That's looking at the trailer. We are going to be looking at the trailer very, very soon. Andy is with us. Hi, Andy. Nice to see you as well. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Who else have we got here as well? Oh, yeah. We've got some comments about the new stuff. We're not talking about the new stuff. No, not doing. We're not going to talk. We're not going to mention it, are we, Martin? We're not going to be mentioning the new stuff at all. No, no, because this is a show about proper Doctor Who. Can you actually just imagine? It's all. Now that stuff's gone, everybody. We've got this coming up now with unlimited rice pudding. We've got this, Peter Harrington. Hiya, Peace. Nice to see you, La. He's with us saying good evening, good day to everybody. Yes, indeed. It's great to see everybody. Andy, you've already pre-ordered it. Well done. If you've pre-ordered it as well, let us know in the chats as we go through this. So we'll be bringing on the Whotastic panel in just a couple of seconds. What else did I see? That Ian, hello, Ian. Nice to see you. Ian Scales. Season 25 was the beginning of an Indian summer for Doctor Who in the classic era. Wonderful time. That's a great way of putting that, wasn't it? Because it was a sort of renaissance, and it's something I think I'm sure that we will all be talking to with the panel. Peter's also saying to us here, great, this is coming out, but October, it's far too long. It'll go like that. It'll go like that, honestly. It'll go like that. But it'll go a lot quicker than those 8 weeks we've just been through. I can assure you. No. We're not talking about that. This is about proper Doctor Who. We're not talking about that at all. We're not going to be talking about the nonsense we've just been through. No. Talking about proper Doctor Who. We're going back to 1988. What's Martin saying to me here? Martin is saying to us, Sylvester's era used to be ridiculed. He's glad it's getting the respect it deserves. Yeah. These box sets are really helping, aren't they? And possibly the iPlayer to an extent as well. Lisa's with us. Hello, Lisa Sani. Nice to see you. Who else have we got there as well? All the usual. Matt, nice to see you. We've also got Garbage in the chat with us tonight. Garbage, thank you very much for making sure everybody is cozy in there. Stephen Braddock is saying to us, hello, everyone. It's a dull day here, but this podcast is going to brighten things up. Don't bet on it. Don't bet on that at all. You can let us know at the end of the show if it does, mate. All right. But yeah, so it's great to see you all in the chat. Stephen's also saying that he loves season 25. As we go through this, let us know exactly what you like about it. And Matt Burrows is saying, you're right, Laura, JT is in the building. I certainly am, and I'm not the only one. So let's get on with this. Yes, Rick, you're absolutely right. Unlimited rice pudding. That one line from 1988 is still here all these years later, isn't it? It's fantastic. But now it's time to bring them on. Let's bring on the Whotastic panel. I've got third Dr. Ian. We've got Paul. And hello. Everybody say hello to Jack.
Oh, yes.
Look at that, the boys with their toys, everybody.
Great minds, Jack. Great minds.
I feel left out now. There we are.
There we are. That's better, yes. Lovely.
I got mine are all the way over there and I can't get them. It's all. So So anyway, but yeah, hello guys, how are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Oh, I'm excited about this. Show us your
so am
Daleks
I.
again, please,
Fantastic
everybody.
stuff. Fantastic.
Yeah, show us those Daleks again. Look at that. And Jack's got the original version of the Emperor Davros coming there as well. Look at that, which is being re-released. Allegedly at this point, we'll say, yeah, we've seen the leaks, haven't we, everyone? That's been re-released. What a great way to tie in with this fantastic box set, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know. So let's crack on. Oh, look at this. Is this you, Third Doctor, Ian, saying this?
Possibility. I just slipped that in there because they are.
They are, aren't they? It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Okay, so this is, as you will all know, we are here today to celebrate. Oh, it sounded like somebody in the pulpit there. We are here today. Well, we are to celebrate the news yesterday that this is actually the 16th limited edition box set, as far as I'm aware. This is the 16th one coming along, and it is, of course, season 25. Here it is. Yes, the silver anniversary year from 1988, everybody. And as you all know, this was Sylvester McCoy's second season. Remembrance of the Daleks, The Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, produced by the legend that is John Nathan Turner, script edited. There's a word we don't hear much these days. Script edited by we won't. By Andrew Cartmel and written by Ben Aronovich, Graham Curry, Kevin Clark, Stephen Wyatt, and directed by Andrew Morgan, Chris Clough, and Alan Waring. And it's a season.
What's a script editor? Sorry, what's that? I don't know what that means.
Now, in the modern day, who does? I don't know either. But this everyone. Now, Jack, you're gonna have to forgive us here. But I remember this season like it was yesterday from 1988. There was a certain, do you remember what it was like? There was a certain excitement in the air from fandom at the time here, because it was the Silver Jubilee. John Nathan Turner come out saying there's not going to be a big sort of 5 Doctors thing because it's too soon after the last one and it's not really worth it. And quite frankly, the BBC were interested, weren't they? But he was saying there would be all these kisses to the past and all this. And to an extent, he did deliver, didn't he? Because we got the Daleks and we got the Cybermen in the one season. Do you remember all this that was going on at the time?
I do. I was great because obviously the series at this point wasn't doing very well in the eyes of the public, but this season was superb. And the opening of the first story is amazing. So I've got great memories. We didn't get a cover for this, but there's a fantastic shot of Sylvester in the back of the Radio Times with like 4 or 5 Daleks. With his leg in the air with Sophie Aldred, fantastic, and the baseball bat, really fantastic.
Well, shot. I can show you that because we've got that from
these Daleks are really, really nice.
We've got that from the beginning of the show. It was this photo shoot.
That's the one, yeah.
And that's actually now famous. They were having a lovely time, but there was a big fuss about that as well for Remembrance of the Daleks. John really went to town on that, getting the press there to say here's the new Doctor as he still was, with his new companion as she was, and the Daleks. And I remember seeing that in the papers everywhere the day after.
Yeah, fantastic.
I think it was the first time probably since Genesis that we'd seen more than 3 Daleks together again, because we were spoiled a little bit with Planet of the Daleks, and then the props hung over into Death and Genesis, and of course by Destiny they were laughable, but they battled through, hadn't they, until that point. Then we had these new casings alongside the old ones as well. So, and then you put the special weapons Dalek in, and you put Davros in as well. They really, really, really did throw the kitchen sink at it, and it looked fantastic. And we had they looked really, really good. They'd refurbed the old ones as well, so they looked decent for a change. And you had probably arguably the best extermination effect that we'd ever seen up to that point. And the end of that first episode just left you slack-jawed. And this was in its 25th year. The first episode of a new series had you watching with your jaw on the floor. It was just unbelievable, I thought.
Yeah, Jack, you're new to this as our youth on the panel this evening. You were around obviously in 1988. Have you seen any of these stories, mate?
All of them.
I
have a complete. I just want to put my case forward. I have a complete classic Doctor Who DVD collection.
Good for you. You deserve an OBE for that, I have to say.
I got fed up with Moffat's rubbish, so I went back and watched the older stuff.
No,
Best
that's
decision
fair
ever.
enough. That is so. You are really are you looking forward to this version of the Blu-ray box sets as well?
I didn't want to collect them, and I actually only have will have two, including this one coming, because they were made by the same production team that did the Chibnall era, and I prefer to have a collection that is completely untainted by them. So I just stuck with the DVDs. But there's a reason why I'm going for this one as well, same as the season 26, which is my other one. And that is because it has the VHS special edition of Silver Nemesis, which they never put on the DVD.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
And much like you, Paul, I absolutely love Silver Nemesis, which I get so much hate for.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I was saying it to Phil as well. I love Silver Nemesis. It's one of my favourite stories. I have no taste, obviously, that's the thing. But there's four versions on this set, which I'm looking forward to that. You can't get enough Silver Nemesis, can you?
Well, no. Well, let's just say hello to Domgo, who's saying hello, and Elvis Jones is with us saying I've pre-ordered it. McCoy was my doctor as a kid and still is, which is nice to know. Because I remember Elvis back in 88, 89 and into the early 90s saying, were any children watching this? Will anybody actually remember Sylvester McCoy in the future as the Doctor? And it's glad to know that they were there and they were watching, because as Paul said there, it was going through a really bad time at this stage. And Andy Gladhill is saying to us, you get so much more in these Blu-rays for only £5 more than the pathetic season 1 Blu-ray. Yep, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going to be talking about those 8 dreadful weeks. We're not going there. We're not going there. So let's have a look at this then, shall we, everybody? Let's look at what they say is a jam-packed season 25 as part of these limited edition collections with hours and hours of new and exclusive material. So let's look into this right now, shall we? I must be one of the few people in the world that actually likes the behind the sofas.
I like them as well. I love them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you've told me that. Yeah. I actually quite enjoy those. I quite like going to them first because I'm so familiar with the stories. Everybody, I quite like going to see what people that are associated with the program, and especially from original proper Doctor Who, think about this. So we're behind the sofa here. We've got new episodes starring Sylvester McCoy, Sophie Aldred, Bonnie Langford, Nicola Bryant, Wendy Panbury, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, Dame Sheila Hancock, Jessica Martin, Karen Gladhill, who was Alison in Remembrance, if you remember, and of course the Cyber Lieutenant himself, Mark Hardy. I think, guys, that's quite a nice a casting for all of those, really.
You missed out Mags, didn't you? Jessica is on it as well. Jessica
Martin. Yeah, Jessica Martin.
She's on as well. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, I mentioned her. Keep listening.
Sorry, babe. It's been a long day.
She's on the script.
But, it is a good selection of people. It really is. And I think it's obviously sad that we've only so recently lost Pamela Salem. But in fact, it'll sort of like, it's a little bit bittersweet, really, isn't it, in that respect? But it's a fantastic lineup, definitely.
Yeah, because she would have loved that as well, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Ricky's saying to us here, has everyone smashed the like? Yes. Another cue. Thank you, Who viewers. Thank you, Rick. Yes, if you haven't already smashed the like, please smash the like there, as Rick is saying to us. Also, I'm still getting emails and messages saying that people have subscribed to the channel before and have been unsubscribed. Nothing to do with those. So just double check to make sure that you are subscribed to us here at Who Views. Just to make sure, really, because I don't know what's going on there, but thank you so much for that. And Woodhouse122 is saying, pre-ordered the set from HMV after I saw the trailer. Great news. Other retailers are available. We're going to be coming to talk about the trailer through this show as well, everybody, as well. So stay with us on that particular one. Garbage is saying hello to you, Jack.
Hey.
So is Paul. And so is Divine Dragon. So that's good to know.
I'm still new to this. Hi, everyone.
Oh, isn't that nice, everybody? Yeah. Bless. So we've got all that. Now, Martin is also saying to us, watch out for Bertie Bassett. And it's such a shame that he's not actually on the behind the sofa. I would have liked to have seen Bertie Bassett trying to sit there looking at how we got it wrong so much in these stories. Problem Being is with us as well, saying hello to myself and the excellent panel. Hello, mate. Nice to see you, Lee. And Matthew, is saying to us, Sylvester so nailed the Doctor in this series.
Yeah.
Okay. What, do you agree with that, guys?
Yeah, I like this version. It's in between the comedy and the really dark version, so the middle version, which I quite like, because it's not too sort of mysterious. It's enough to give Sylvester time to do his comedy as well, which I quite like.
Okay.
He definitely settled into it, I think. I mean, he was thrown into it the previous season in quite turbulent times, wasn't he? and
yeah.
he managed amazingly well. Although I'll be honest, Time and the Rani episode 1, I was sat there with my head in my hands. Not as much as I have in recent years, but we're not going there.
No, we're not going there. We're not talking about the rubbish we've just been through. No, we're not doing that. No.
But by the start of season 25, he was the Doctor. He'd set into that role. Can't take it away from him.
No. Yeah. Matt is saying to us here, my favourite season 25 episode was Silver Nemesis. There's a lot of this coming through. The Burning Dragon is saying the one missing opportunity would have been a dual Doctor story that included Tom Baker. Enough time had passed and he would have been well received. Very probably, but I think he was also quite busy. At that point, he actually was working, wasn't he?
He was doing a lot in the theatre at that point. I think he hadn't done Medics by that point, had he? Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, that would have been quite interesting having Tom's Doctor with the 7th Doctor. Can you imagine? Anyway,
well, we nearly had Dark Dimension, didn't we? That would have been Thomas.
No, let's not. Yes, 1988 season 3. Pete's saying to us here, Ace with her Ghetto Blaster was a great opener. It certainly set the scene for her character, didn't it? When she's walking there in the 60s, there she is with her Ghetto Blaster, that 80s music being played there. So anachronistic. Why did the Doctor let her out the TARDIS with that? Saying, no, you can't do that. No, you can't. What's going on? But it was all about her character.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And they really set the scene of the 60s. It feels really 60s in this story. It's got a really good atmosphere. Yeah. And it's just lovely. It really is lovely. And all the references to Totter's Lane and the Doctor leaving stuff behind, all that kind of stuff, the Hand of Omega, great stuff. And I don't think you have to be a fan to get it. It's done in a way that's accessible, I think. You know what I mean?
Yes, and it's done in a way that certain people should have been able to go back and look at and learn from. Oh, no, yes. We're not going there. We can go anywhere you want to, Who viewers in the Who-tastic panel here when we're talking about this, because this is packed with a lot. Again, they've come up trumps with an awful lot of material on this. We've just mentioned Behind the Sofa. We've also got In Conversation. Now, this is those sort of what's supposed to be the in-depth chats, aren't they? And we've got 3 new episodes there with Sophie Aldred, Andrew Cartmel, and Chris Clough, who was a director. And he's gone on to production and stuff like that now, of course. We've got
and he produced the Mr. Bates version of the Post Office to great ratings acclaim.
Yes, he did. So good for him. He went on to huge things, didn't he? We've got a documentary looking back at the life and the career of the lovely, lovely Dursley McClendon from Remembrance of the Daleks. He played Mike, of course. So that's going to be interesting, I think, on that one. Jack, you mentioned the fact that we've got the making of Doctor Who. Now, that is the rare vintage documentary from '88, which was only available on the VHS version of Silver Nemesis. You're right. They didn't put it onto the DVD at all, which was, I think, a little bit silly. But at least we're getting it onto this. And that was filmed for, was it PBS? It was something in the States, wasn't it, that one? To celebrate 25 years of the show.
Yeah. It's a great documentary. It's really interesting seeing it being made at that point. Yeah,
I can't believe it was never broadcast here in the UK, to be honest. Probably right.
Sorry, it wasn't just that. It was also there was extra footage added that made it slightly longer, but it's kind of annoying because those scenes are technically on the DVD, but just in the deleted scenes. So they're almost teasing you. It's like, this is what you should have had, but we just couldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
I think at the time when we were getting the DVDs as well, there was an awful lot of that, cause, especially with this one, because it came out in the box set, didn't it? I'm trying to remember what the box set was called. I'm looking down at my collection to see where it is.
Was it Cyber War, was it?
Cybermen. Yeah, the Cyber War.
Yeah.
Cybermen. And that was a big thing because a lot of us were expecting to see that again, and it's such a shame. But here they are making up for it. You're also getting the VHS extended version of Silver Nemesis on this, which was a version of the original story with the extra footage you've just mentioned, Jack. That's back in there. There's also, believe it or not, a special edition omnibus. Now, this sounds intriguing, guys, and I'm really quite interested to see hear what you think of this, because this is all about a special cut-down feature-length version of the adventure in the tradition of the 1970s repeats. What?
So it'll be an hour long, like Brain and Morbius was, something like that kind of idea, which is a bit pointless. But you do have the extra special one with the extra special effects on it, don't you? With redone special effects, which the shot in the trailer looked quite nice.
Okay.
As long as it's not edited by Ben Cook, it will be fine.
That's a good point.
You know what, though?
I hadn't thought. That's a good point, Jack. Maybe there'll be extra crap music in it as well.
That's exactly.
It won't make any sense at all.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for your super chat. Really appreciate it. Paul Ashworth giving us a super sticker there. So thank you very much. Enjoyed that. And it's lovely to have your support. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Paul. Jack, you're right. That when I saw that, that's immediately where I went to. I thought, oh, look, it's that 70-minute type thing. They're trying to resell it. Thank goodness there's other versions of it there, including the original version, I would assume. Because that played, Jack, to me saying, oh, there's the token to the mythical audience they're looking for, like they've just done with Pyramids.
It's supposed to be for my generation who have a short attention span, but as someone who grew up watching them stories, I just remember shouting at the screen, like, you can't cut that bit out because then this bit makes no sense. You can't.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I hated the colorized Daleks. I even hated the BBC Two Genesis of the Daleks film version because they cut out that whole scene with Ronson, which made his whole character make no sense.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
so to be honest, there's nothing wrong with the original versions.
There you go. You see.
But
Well,
how much
yeah.
are they going to cut out of it, though? Do you think if they're going to make it 70 minutes, that takes like 5 minutes off it, doesn't it? I'm sure that it might be like an episode long, 25 minutes in length,
Mm.
I mean, it's 3 episodes, isn't it, Paul? It's 3 episodes at 25 minutes or just under.
Yeah.
I mean, surely some of these people that are part of Jack's generation, and surely they can live through that. And it's not as if Silver Nemesis. It's not slow, actually.
It's not slow at all.
fast.
No.
It's one I can watch all in one go because it's 3 episodes and there's always something happening. So it's not like the war games where you need to kind of set yourself 3 days to get through it at least.
3 months. I'm sorry, but that is an epic. I mean, I love it when I get to the end of it, but by God, it takes.
Well, you can't watch it in one go unless you schedule some toilet breaks in there somewhere.
Do you remember that? Oh no, we won't talk about that. That's another show. but it's good to hear that Jack is actually what I would call one of the sane target audience for that new version. But there it is, Silver Nemesis. You've also got the Happiness Patrol three episodes as well. I mean, it's just crazy, isn't it? Jack, you've got a message here from Stephen Braddock is saying, I've also got a complete set of the classic Doctor Who stories, including all the reconstructions. That's nice. And Ian is saying to us, the Silver Nemesis audio novel was one of the highlights of the 60th anniversary. Now, Ian, I have to agree with you on that. I got the Silver Nemesis one when it came out last year, the Target novelization on audio. It's stunning, isn't it? The sound effects, the way it's read, it's absolutely fantastic. It's still available, just. So if anybody's looking for it and you want to add something to your collection, go and look at that. What does Garbage mean by the stairs? The stairs. Yeah, big moment.
The stairs in the cellar at the school for the Daleks.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big moment, wasn't it?
It was incredible.
Domgo, Silver Nemesis is incredible. The Cybermen, the N word, and the Doctors being God's secret, big God secret. It doesn't get any better. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? Really, it was all very, very big. And we've got here. Oh, look, there's a Cyberman there with Jack. And at the time, Sylvester was not, I will admit, great, but he has grown on me as I have grown up. Says Pete Harrington.
These Cybermen that you're waving about, Jack, are gorgeous. I absolutely love them. They're superb. One of my favourite. That chrome looks amazing. It's really good.
I've customized it with a chrome pen. So it's a lot
fantastic.
Very good.
Right.
Very nice, lovely. Yeah.
How
Does look
clever is that?
amazing.
Brilliant, yeah. We've got John saying to us there, the radiophonic stuff is absolutely amazing. That's part of the chat in there. And Julianne, nice to see you, Julianne. Behind the sofas are a great laugh. I think so as well. I really like them. And I can't put my finger on why I like them, but I do like the behind the sofas. I think it's just quite interesting to see people who had nothing to do with the show at that particular point looking at them. Yeah. And it'd be interesting to see what Bonnie thinks of the series that came after her, for example. And certainly it's always interesting to know what Janet Fielding thinks about things.
It's often not complimentary, I have to say.
Well, it's true, isn't it? But she's always either going on about hairstyles or who's getting how many costumes. Duxford Productions is joining us saying, I like the sofas too, but I never listen to the commentaries. Do you know something? Neither do I, mate. And I think it's because I had years of DVDs. What about you? I listened to all the commentaries on the DVDs when they all came out over those 20 years that it took to bring them out.
Sometimes they do bonus ones, so you get a new one on the box sets. I've listened to the new ones, but not the old ones, because I've heard them before. But
Right, yeah. Stephen is saying to us here, Ian, look at this. I met Sophie Aldred as she was also a member of Fanderson. I have a personal autograph of her as a signed FAB.
Fantastic.
That's nice, isn't it? That's great.
Can I, JT, sorry, can I just apologise? I saw Sir Sydney Rough Diamond posted a comment asking if somebody was hoovering, and nobody's hoovering, but it's so warm. I've got my door open and somebody's mowing their lawn.
Oh, how fabulous.
It stopped at the minute, but it's somebody mowing the lawn, so my apologies for that.
How British at 8:25 in the evening.
it was close though. It's almost a vacuum cleaner, isn't it? To be honest.
Exactly.
Much,
Matthew's saying to us here, I love Sheila Hancock, still miss her husband. And Woodhouse122, nice to see you, is giving us a tip, or giving you a tip. If you look for a HMV code, and you can get the 25 season box set for £44 instead of 55. There's a good tip there. Oh, look, Jack's going, no.
It's too late. Yeah, I'm the same. I've already done it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have pre-ordered, never mind. Let's have a look at it. Because yes, this is season 25 limited edition Blu-ray box set that we're talking about, of course. Available to pre-order now with a recommended retail price of $54.99. Yes, 54.99. It will be released on the 21st of October. Now, they seem very confident about that this time, because it's the first time in a long time we've had the release date for this. So get your pre-orders in now if you haven't already. It's available there for you. $54.99 recommended retail price from all the usual retailers. There's lots of them for you. And it will be with you in your grubby little protuberances around about the 21st of October, 2024. Exciting.
It does seem a long time. I know you said in the introduction, JT, that it'll pass really quickly, but it seems that's 3 months, isn't it, before it's going to come out?
It is, but it will pass. It will really pass. John is saying something, mowing the lawn but not touching grass. No, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going to be talking about that awful 8 weeks we've just been through. No, we're not going to talk about that. No. It's all about season 25. Nothing to do with the 8 awful weeks we've just been dragging through. And Nathan Huggins is going and saying, hello there. Hello there. Yeah, it's nice to see you. Cutting grass is a new one, says Peter. After what we've just been told, yes. And people are asking for that code again, mate. So if you can pop that in there for you again, and it is in the chat if you want to go back and look at it later on. And of course, Rick is also saying, don't start me on this, Rick. 2 to 3 years until the standard edition. Don't start me on that one. I know. I was saying to the guys when this was announced yesterday, because we were expecting season 25 to be announced at some point. Over this week or next week, and I'm already ready for this to be out in about 3 years' time. It's absolutely fine because I'm a standard edition person, and it does look really good. Again, this particular one. John is with us saying, "Is it just 4 stories?" It is. It absolutely is. Yeah. And I'll show you my little graphic again because I put it together for you all. You've got Remembrance of the Daleks, The Happiness Patrol, Silver Nemesis, and The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. Let's get back to see what else is coming up, everybody, on this Blu-ray here. We got to that. So you've got this interesting features here, of course, called The Collectors, the 1980s, which I know Mr. Howe is in, isn't he? Talking about that sort of stuff. And this is hosted by Emily Cook, who's going to be chatting to various Doctor Who collectors about their 1980s treasures. You've got something I am not interested in at all. So let me know in the chat what you think of this. This is this thing called the Doctor Who Escape Room. And they're calling this one Team 7th Doctor, where they throw Sylvester McCoy, 80 plus years old, everybody, Sophie Aldred and Bonnie Langford in an escape room. Who came up with that? I mean,
I've seen the one on CT, and it's really painful. The one with Maureen O'Brien, Peter Purves, and Lisa Bowerman. It's really painful.
Is it really? So basically, it is just that. They're putting them in one of these trendy things for the kids and saying, get out.
Yeah. I have to say, though, Peter Purves in that one's channeling William Hartnell. He's really grumpy. It's hilarious.
Yes, that's what I want to hear. Good for you, Peter. I want to see more grumpy white men on the telly, on videos, quite frankly, because I'm getting there myself. I really
tell me about
problematic, though, JT, isn't it? Grumpy white men.
Very
problematic.
You've all to look forward to, Jack.
Yeah.
Lose your hair.
Some of us, yeah,
exactly, yeah. Peter's
that's
saying,
a wig, isn't it, Ian? I'm just saying that now, just checking.
Yeah. So Doctor does wear a wig, everybody. It's Happiness Patrol is a favourite of mine, says Pete Harrington. The dark underbelly of a society, a little 1984 with smiles. And we've also got Stephen Braddock saying to us here, the artwork for season 25 is the best yet. It's beautiful.
Lovely.
And John is then coming back to say it's a short season. Let's have a look at that again then before we look at some of the other features as well, because it is gorgeous. Now, Lee Binding, who put this together as he does with all the box sets, did give us a tantalizing color palette, if you like. Do you remember we showed it on one of the shows ages ago? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And it's actually that bit on the top right hand corner he was teasing then, wasn't it? So it was a bit of a sort of, I don't know, a bit of a red herring in a sense. Do you know what I mean?
I love the way they've kept the continuation of the Doctor holding something. He's got the arrow and the bow there in that picture, and obviously different Doctors have different things like sonic screwdrivers and things like that. It's a lovely image of the Doctor with the bow and the arrow. I think it's really nice.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And all the asteroids, including the Silver Nemesis comet.
It's glorious, isn't it?
It's quite creative because this isn't, I would imagine, an easy season to actually 4 stories. Not an easy one to illustrate when it comes to a background. And he's used the title sequence already, I think. So I'm quite impressed with this one.
I wonder what's on the back, because they have bits on the back illustrating something. Like I think they have on the back of season 9, they've got, I think, the Doctor's TARDIS and the Master's TARDIS on the back, I think, and things like that. So it's really nice having that little image on the back, which reflects the season. I wonder what that'll be.
Well, you and Jack have pre-ordered it. You'll soon know in October. Have you pre-ordered it
We'll
yet?
tell you, GT. We'll tell you.
Yeah. Have you ordered it, Ian?
No, I haven't, not yet, but I do know that HMV are giving 11 quid off.
I think, Jack, I think you can probably order it on HMV, then cancel the other one. I'm sure you can do that. Yeah,
I'm sure you can within those sort of time. We've got
allegedly, yeah.
Mr. Binding, if you ever come across this and you're watching us, the cover's going down really well with our Who viewers in the chat, with Peter Harrington saying that was lovely. Matthew Burrows is saying it's amazing cover. And Nathan, thank you so much. You're saying it's so nice to hear and chat about proper Doctor Who. Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Isn't it just? It's a relief. And we've got a big weekend for you coming up here on Who's Views when it comes to proper Doctor Who. We're kicking off, obviously, with this show, Merchandise Paradise Live, where we're talking about this announcement of season 25 from 1988, the silver anniversary year. Seems like yesterday, but it's so many years ago. I don't want to even say the words now, how many years ago it is. Then tomorrow, I'm going to be talking on a chit chat with Christian from the Legend of the Travelling TARDIS. And then we're all back here on Sunday for our Who's Views reviews of Death to the Daleks live at 8 o'clock UK time, where we are paying tribute to what would have been the late, great, legendary Mr. John Pertwee's birthday. So isn't it lovely, guys? Back with a bang with proper Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Starting off with this. Absolutely fantastic. Duck Soup is saying to us here, the Candyman is a great original Doctor Who monster, funny and frightening both. I remember that at the time thinking more or less that, Duck Soup, because I was actually quite impressed with this. And I was also quite impressed that it also provided publicity for Doctor Who in the press when Bassett's went off their trolley.
Yeah. I'm sure G&T did that deliberately. I'm sure
he did.
Oh, I'm sure as well. Oh, I'm sure. Lisa is asking us all here, why are they still using that awful feminist logo? Because Russell T Davies told them to.
I think they wanted to try and give us the continuity of the logo, so it wasn't different on the box sets. I think that was the idea, because every time they do something, they never finish it.
It should have been the logo for each era.
Yeah, it should have been. Yeah.
Yes, it should have been. Do you know what, Jack? I've said it before, but it was supposed to be. It really was supposed to be. I saw many moons ago now original drafts for how these things were supposed to look, and they were stunning. And each spine and each front had the logo associated with that Doctor.
I'd have probably collected them if they did.
It looked great because each of the spines as well formed the title sequence of that particular Doctor. You know, and that's something I saw, God knows how many years ago it was now, when these things were in the pipeline. It was obviously rejected for these versions they've got now, but I think they would have worked. But we brought, I have to say, Lisa, we brought this on ourselves because, of course, years and years ago when the VHSs were around, they changed the covers halfway through the range, and we all wrote in and phoned in and complained and sent letters in those days to Doctor Who Monthly, as it was, and BBC Enterprises, who became BBC Worldwide and now BBC Studios, they listened, and that's why we were stuck with those crap crappy covers of the DVDs for 20 years because they didn't dare change them because they
Yeah.
knew that we'd all go, "You've changed them." And it's the same now with the Blu-rays. And we would get people, wouldn't we guys coming in saying, "You've changed them. They don't match up on the shelf." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's not. It's usually me that does that. To be fair,
It is, to be honest, isn't it? It is. Yes, it is you. It is. So we've got all that there. Let's see. Oh, hooray for Pertwee. Yes, that's on Sunday, Pete. Yes, so hopefully you'll be able to come and do that. So thank you for that. Listen, what else we got? Oh, let's go back then. Let's go back to then see where was I up to? I was up to the escape room nonsense. I'm going to be skipping that when eventually I get this particular one on standard in the next decade.
if you're lucky, yeah.
I'm lucky. Yeah, so I'll be missing that one. We've also got, and now I'm quite interested in this, when Sophie met Leslie. So this is Sophie Aldred having a chat to her pal, Leslie Dunlop, who was in the Happiness Patrol in this one, but she was also in Frontios, which people sometimes forget. One of my favorite Peter Davison stories, she was in Frontios. So I'm quite interested in seeing those two sitting down together and having a good old chinwag. Hey up, they're coming for us.
Oh.
We didn't say anything on it, Gov. We haven't said anything on this show. It's fine. Is that interesting to you guys at all?
Oh, definitely. I love an interview with people you don't hear much about from Doctor Who because they don't. I think she may have done an interview in the Doctor Who magazine or something like that, but nothing on camera. I don't think, which is nice to hear her side of her experience working with Doctor Who and being with Sylv and Sylvester and Sophie. You know, kind of working together. It sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, it does really. Oh, there's more. Yeah. I don't recall it. I've never met her at a Doctor Who convention. No. Have you? I'm
surprised she's not on Behind the Sofa as well with Sheila Hancock. You know.
Well, maybe she was working because she's had an okay career, hasn't she? I seem to recall her being in various things.
And she's a regular in Emmerdale, isn't she? I think as well.
Was she in Emmerdale still?
Right. She was, yeah, I think, yeah. But
wasn't she quite a big name when they got her in Frontios? Had she been in the Anedin line or something like that, or something? She'd been in something big. Was it Anedin line?
Maybe.
Was it Angels?
Yeah. Might have been that.
I can't remember.
Oh, mind you, the guy in Frontios was Anedin line, wasn't he?
Peter Gilmore,
Peter Gilmore. Yeah. But I think I don't know. Maybe I'm getting her mixed up with Joe. She was definitely in stuff. She was a face on television. Yeah. I can't remember if it was Angels or somebody else. Somebody in the chat will know. Pete or somebody will know in the chat. There she is. Thank you so much. Peter's saying May to December. That was a great little comedy, that one, actually. I've forgotten all about that. Is that repeated, anyone? Anyone know? Spooky Dude is asking, is here thoughts on the CGI Daleks in Remembrance when the Imperial Dalek explodes? It's kind of unneeded.
Yeah, I agree, because when they did that explosion, that's when health and safety didn't care, and it looks fantastic. And they've just doctored it with CGI, and it looks worse than it did originally, which is really odd.
I'm going to wait to see it in the next decade, and then
you see it from the clip. They've done stuff to the Daleks, and they look at
yeah. They can't help themselves with tampering some of the original stuff. I mean, Jack, does it make a difference to you at the age you are? I mean, you know, you were saying earlier on that you can watch the original stuff from 1988, for example, and enjoy every minute of it. Do you personally want to see some CGI effects in these things?
Not if it looks worse, but from what I've seen in the trailer, I like that they've brightened the Dalek laser effects. I think that looks cool. I do hate it, though, when you have a good practical effect and they choose to get rid of that for crap CGI. This might be controversial, but I preferred the original Rutan to the remake one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a blob, but that's kind of what it is. You know, I don't really see why they had to redesign it. If they want to reduce bad CSO, make it less blurry, and they want to maybe make a spaceship look real, but I think some model spaceships are actually pretty good. And they don't need CGI versions of them. And oftentimes the CGI that they do give us is so budget and crap, you may as well just stick with the old stuff. But I do like it when they make gun blast effects look better, like in Day of the Daleks.
Well, let's have a look at that a bit more in a second. I just want to say thank you to everybody that's in the chat there. And Lee there probably was saying to us here, I think I'll be putting the documentary of Dursley McClendon on repeat. He was gorgeous, bless him. He was. I was lucky enough to meet him. I was so young. Oh gosh, but he was lovely. He was so welcoming So that's amazing. But yeah, I'll be looking at that one as well, I think, at some point. And then Sean is with us as well. Mixed feeling about this one. The lowest point of proper Who in terms of believability and lead acting. I'll guess it, of course, because the Dalek story works so well in prose. Thanks for that, Sean. That's an interesting point there, isn't it? It's a different alternative because we're quite excited and quite hyped about this. But do you know, Sean is actually saying what a lot of people were thinking back in '88. You know, having come off the back of '87, and we got this, which was totally different. But this was Andrew Cartmel reinventing the thing as well, wasn't it? Really.
I think you'd seen shades of it with the fantastic Delta and the Bannermen. You'd seen shades of it because it was, I mean, like it or loathe it, Delta and the Bannermen had quite a lot of action in it.
Yeah.
And then you went to complete studio with Dragonfire, and then that was the end of the season, and then you got this. And this was just such a breath of fresh air. It was literally action packed right from the very start. You know, the distance view of Earth and the spaceship coming over, and you knew obviously it was a Dalek spaceship because name in the title. And it was just bang right from the very start. It was amazing. It just kept that energy. It had an energy level that Doctor Who hadn't had for quite some time.
And all that kind of the voices from Earth, the different presidents and things like that, it sounds fabulous. It really gives you a real idea of the time and everything, and it really sets up a lovely atmosphere for the 60s as it starts. And it's just a great opening. Okay, it owes a lot to Star Wars, but it's still fabulous.
Yeah. Spooky Duke is also saying here, I wish these collections would actually have the correct Doctor's logos on them. So annoying. It's why I won't buy them. Oh, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Don't forget, you can get fan-made covers for them, and if you get the standard editions, you slip them in to the Amaray case. If that's what they used to be called, I don't know if they are now, but into the Blu-ray casing, you can put them in there. And at some point, they'll all come down as well, mate. So have a play around with that as well, because I actually quite like these Blu-ray box sets. I think they are really worth money. And then Spiel, nice to see you, and Spiel, how are you? I wonder if they will still use the Who indent with the TARDIS flying across the screen. I must admit, it gives me a little thrill. Oh, so that's the thing with the logo, that red with the asteroids in Spiel, is it that red thing?
With the one that kind of came about when Jodie arrived. Is that the thing you mean? Yeah.
Have you all noticed that? There's Earthshock sound effects in that. Have you all noticed that?
Yeah.
Very strange.
Weird.
Yeah. It really is. I don't know, Enspiel, maybe I think they will. I think the continuity is going to stay with all these things. I really, really do. X-Man 577 is joining us as well. Nice to see you. And yes, there is the Sydney Rough Diamond. I've caught up with you. These new VFX scenes are so unnecessary. Thank you for that. I mean, yeah, it could be, wouldn't it, really? You know, it really could. Spooky Dude is responding to us here as well, saying, listen, if you guys think they're worth it, I'll wait for the price to come down. Just collected all the silver DVDs. Oh, yeah. Do you know what, though? The reason I started getting these, because I was in two minds as well, Spooky Dudes, about the Blu-rays, but one day I went to put on a DVD and it really was noticeably fuzzy on all the technology we've got now when it comes to the quality of the Blu-rays we've got and the televisions we've got now. And my eyes were so, and I have to wear glasses occasionally, as you can see. And I thought, no, this is it. I'm going for the Blu-rays. And it's much nicer in a way. So, but you're right. But a lot of them have been around for such a while now. Maybe next year or stuff, we'll start to see prices coming down in sales for them as well, because there is quite a lot of them now, as we will soon see. Let's get back to seeing what else we've got coming up on this box set, because it is packed. So we mentioned when Sophie met Leslie. We've also got Stephen Mansfield interviewed. So Stephen Mansfield was the guy that did an awful lot for this era, including in this series, of course, Fifi. Fifi. I met Fifi in 1990 in Liverpool at a convention there. But he also did things like the Destroyer in season 26, didn't he? And lots of other stuff.
And the Hemivores,
practically everything in the season, in these last few seasons. So it's going to be nice and interesting to see Stephen Mansfield interviewed, guys.
I wonder if they include the thing from, it was a BSB. They had an interview with him with on there, and I think Sue Moo was on there as well. And they had lots of effects they were doing. I don't know if that's been released already, but I remember seeing that on the Doctor Weekend back in the 90s, and they were on that.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. No, because I didn't have BSB back then either. Because I was out. I was out all the time, so I don't remember it. I wonder if it's on the Tube of Who. Let's look it up.
It probably is. I can't remember if it's on another Sylvester set. It might be on season 26. I'm not sure, but I remember seeing it somewhere. But, yeah.
Might be, mightn't it? Yeah. Welcome to Merchandise Paradise Live, everybody. There's a lot of you watching us this evening, so it's lovely to see you all. If you're not in the chat, come into the chat if you can, because everybody's lovely in there, and we're having a good chat. We are celebrating the limited edition release of season 25, which was announced yesterday. Also coming on this, we've got studio and location footage, hours and hours, according to the blurb, of raw footage and outtakes captured during the making of all 4 stories. Now, this stuff actually doesn't surprise me, because there seem to be backstage crews ahead of its time, actually, on every single story here, and more seems to have been come out of the BBC archives over the years.
I saw something posted by Toby Haydock that he managed to get a last-minute bit of footage from Greatest Show in the Galaxy put on there. So that's going to be a new piece on there, apparently, a new bit of studio footage or location footage has been found, and it's gotten there at the last minute, which is fabulous. I love all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
But there did seem to be an awful lot, Jack. You won't know this at the time, but there was an awful lot of either personal, what we used to call home video footage going on, or official stuff. And then we had the American team coming in for that documentary for Silver Nemesis. It's just amazing, really. And so many photographs, personal photographs, are starting to come out all these years later as well on this. I got to stroke Fifi at a convention when I met Susan Moore. Well, thanks for that, Stephen.
Yeah. Too much information there, I think.
Hopefully that's not.
Good job we got the names the right way around there. That could have been awkward.
That was very close, very close.
Yeah. Problematic.
Yeah. And Dom goes saying to us, anyone else have this problem with Amazon where if you pre-order it actually takes a week longer to get to you than if you order it on day of release? No, I'm not. No, I get all mine from them, and it all seems to come out more or less on the same time.
I've had that problem, and being the OCD person that I am, I'm really frustrated by that. So
yeah. You could go and get it from the shop though on the day, Paul.
I probably could, yeah. But I like to get delivered. It's a lot of fun. And the letterbox comes to the letterbox is great, It's lovely. Yeah. I should go out more, to be honest. But yeah,
you should really. Yeah. Duxie Productions is saying I don't have the patience to watch the raw footage, but glad it's been saved. I don't mind it. It's nice to see them all larking about in between takes and stuff like that. And
it's an interesting little time capsule, isn't it? And you see the so if it's from Silver Nemesis. Say from where they filmed the battle between the soldiers and the Cybermen, then it's on that old gasworks site, isn't it? Which I think either before or after, it was about to be demolished, wasn't it? But either before or after Silver Nemesis, they'd just done Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket there.
It was before. It was just before, I think. Yeah.
And then it got demolished, didn't it? So it was quite a prime derelict location, if you like, to use, because I mean a lot of them in Dalek Invasion of Earth, they'd used a huge number of really atmospheric bombed out sites that were still there from the war. And of course, London in the 80s, there weren't many of those anymore, but that was one fantastic,
the main one. Yeah. Just to put out, if you don't know anything about this was what is Silver Nemesis was filmed in what was North Greenwich, and where that land is, the Millennium Dome eventually was built. I used to live, when I lived in London, I lived across from it, over in Greenwich and Charlton. And I remember them building houses on that round. And I actually went to look at a couple of houses there in the day, guys, and thinking, this is where the Cybermen would have been. Whoa. And that's all I could think of. I wasn't concentrating on the houses or anything like that, Jack. No, I was just thinking, this is where the Cybermen would have been. It was the same when we went to the Millennium Dome as well, saying, oh, this is where the TARDIS would have materialized somewhere around here. Totally unbelievably stupid, but that's fan geekiness for you, isn't it?
The location work in this is really good, and that disused hangar they used the Cybermen battle between Ace and the coins and all that. That's superbly shot. And it's really atmospheric. And the bit where, spoilers, where the cyber leader falls off the gantry, and then gets up again, that's superb, But, it's really good. Spooky Dude is saying this is where the inner child comes out. Totally. Absolutely, totally. It's all really good stuff here. And it's just nice seeing it all lovey-dovey and loved up again, isn't it, on these things? We've also got here, Spooky Dude is saying, love those interviews and documentaries. Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look and see what else we've got coming on. We've also got all the usual stuff, 5.1 surround sound, rare archival material from the BBC vaults, exclusive convention footage. I'm interested to know which conventions, actually, and if I'm in any of them.
HD photo galleries, info text, PDF archive, plus lots more, including an awful lot of hours of special features previously released on the DVDs, including documentaries, featurettes, audio commentaries, and more. So again, they've done a fantastic job, haven't they, of actually packing all of this in. And as I showed there as well, it's all in all these wonderful discs. It's massive, isn't it? It's huge.
One of my favorite features on all of these sets is archive TV. I really love that. So if they've got stuff that's not been released on the DVDs, if there are any extra TV slots that they did or promotion for something, it's great to see that, because that, again, like Ian was saying, it's like a time capsule of TV at the time. It's superb, and I love all that, especially on stuff in the 70s as well. If you get the odd interview like Nationwide or something like that, it's superb. It really is, you know.
But again, this is the thing, I mean, about season 25. Jack, this will be very difficult for you to understand about all this. This, of course, was the time when Doctor Who was, we've got to hold our hands up to this, it was flagging with the British public. It really was. It was losing interest. And it's such a shame, because as we've mentioned before on this channel, the stories were picking up pace at this point. These were good stories. It's just that nobody at BBC management was understanding it.
The thing is, JT, I do understand, but what I'm going through is far worse, because at least Classic Who got better before the end.
No, we're not going there, Jack.
Really,
We're not going to be talking about the 8 weeks of sheer hell we've just been through. No, we're not going through that. No, we're not talking about all that. We're not going to be admitting that.
There is one archive TV thing I hope is on there. Ian will love this as well. There was, it's not Pebble Mill, but something like that. With Judy Spires, and John Pertwee's on it, Sophie Aldred and McCoy, and they arrive in the TARDIS, and McCoy and Pertwee are doing the Troughton Pertwee thing again, which is fabulous, trying to escape the TARDIS, fighting as they come out. Really lovely stuff.
But this was the brilliant thing about that time. This is what I'm saying. You know, it was flagging when it came to the interest of the British public, how things come round again, eh? But it was everywhere. They were on every chat show going. They were celebrating the 25th anniversary in a very, very professional British way. You know, they were really putting it out there, considering there was no Seven Doctors type story. It was all done in a sort of tasteful way, in a sense, wasn't it? It was all done within those 14 weeks. But it was everywhere. I remember things where McCoy was being interviewed from everywhere, from children's television to gaming magazines back then. You know, the original, I think it was called Video Star or something like that. That was magazine back then. But it was they did the marketing correct. It just didn't have the impact, unfortunately.
Do you remember? I remember at the time there was a trailer for this for Silver Nemesis for the 25th anniversary, and it started with a sequence from the Web Planet with the Doctor talking to the Zarbi and Ian saying that you're not getting through, Doctor, you're not getting through, and then it goes into bits from Silver Nemesis. It was really weird, but it was odd having this clip. That was so memorable, seeing that old clip of Hartnell. It's fabulous. Remember that?
No, I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember that. No, no, I don't.
Was that on the BBC?
On the BBC, it probably will be on the Blu-ray. It has to be. So.
I hope so, because if that's the case, that'll be something brand new for me. And I love it when they put things on I've never seen before, because it gets to a point where you're watching a countdown clock, isn't it? Really, and you just think, oh, this is great.
I've not seen that one for Silver Nemesis. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, though? Because you thought I've seen all this, I've seen all these things, and then suddenly that little thing, oh, I've seen that before. Wow, this is brilliant.
Well, you do. It's quite sad. You get a real thrill if you see something new, don't you? It's great. Yeah.
Peter Harrington is saying to us here, they've stood the test of time and got better, in my opinion. And Spooky Tooth is saying to us, listen, I've been on the fence, but you've sold me, guys. I'll find some fan covers to cover up Jodie's logo. Yeah, there's quite a lot out there. Maybe some of the Who viewers can actually point you to some as well, because there were quite a lot. I want to talk about now. There was this big fuss, wasn't there, earlier this year when the BBC made not an announcement to sort, but they just sort of said, listen, we're not going to be doing any more of these dramatic trailers. You know, the one with Leela was probably going to be the last one. And we came and talked about this on Headlines, and, you know, we understood the fact, didn't we, that they cost money. They were brilliant. How many more could you possibly do? But this trailer was released, and it's more in the traditional style, isn't it? It really is more in the traditional style of what we had before.
Yeah.
I love it. I think it's really good. I think it sells it beautifully. And the fact they're using this stuff here that was used at the time to promote season 25 to, I think, what was the press? I think it was part of the press junket.
Yeah.
I love the fact they're using it to say, look, So what they've done here, they've met two worlds, the best of both worlds here. They've taken this recorded footage from Sylve and Sophie as the Seventh Doctor and Ace and made it into that little bit of a drama. And I think it works beautifully.
It does. It's almost like it was made specially for this release. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of this, Jack?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer, and it looks really good. I mean, I'd have really loved there to have been something, maybe they could have brought the old cyber costumes back and done a cool, thing. But I did really like it because I was a huge fan of all the DVD trailers. Whenever I buy a Classic Who DVD, I always went to the special features straight away to watch the trailer. And it's because of those trailers I bought other DVDs. I'm like, oh, that one looks good. Yeah, I want to buy that one. So I really liked it, but it just makes me wish they'd been able to make more of those like special trailers, especially for this season. Because I think they could have done a lot if they'd had the budget.
Yeah. I to be honest, when it comes to the original 80s cyber suits, there's not many of them left because they just wore. You can actually see one. I'm going to give him a plug here. Neil Cole's Museum of Sci-Fi in Allendale. He's got one in there, or a couple in there, because he's got the Cyber Scout, the Black Cyber Scout from the Attack of the Cybermen as well in there. So if you're interested and you can get there, go and look at Neil's museum because you get some of the original. And there's not many of them left, if any, because the BBC sold them off as well, Jack. They all went to Bonhams and stuff, and people don't look after them properly, So it's nice to see it in there.
Well, there's a great reference, I think, in the making of Doctor Who, the American documentary we were talking about, and they're talking about the costumes and how they don't live up to wear and tear. And I think the designer's talking about cyber crotch being an issue at one point, I think.
I remember this.
I remember that.
Yeah. And didn't a couple of the actors have a problem because it was very tight around that area?
Yes, I believe so, yeah.
They couldn't even sit down properly. And those things were heavy on them. So, of course, they were also quite warm.
Yeah. And
they were filming, that summer they were filming, or that time at the beginning, it wasn't too bad. I remember actually thinking this was unnaturally
well, that's the thing in Silver Nemesis. It might be November, and they're sitting out in the jazz, watching the jazz, Courtney Pine playing jazz, and it's meant to be November, and they're all sitting out in a beer garden, which is interesting.
Exactly. This is where I remember really at 18 I was in 1988, really getting into all this global warming stuff. It goes right back then, if not before. Absolutely. Let's get into the chats and see what you're all saying here. Lisa is saying to us here, the Seventh Doctor's run was really good, even though they used the music of the time period. It works so wonderfully. Oh, God love him, Kath McCulloch.
I like his music in Silver Nemesis particularly. I do. It's really good. Yeah.
I prefer Dominic.
I'll get my coat. It's fine.
Yeah. Again, I prefer the music for The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, I have to say, and Dominic's. And you'll know who viewers if you're regular to the channel. I'm a huge fan of Dominic Lynn's scores for Doctor Who and other things. I absolutely love all that stuff. But gosh, yeah. Kath McCulloch's very 80s. Oh, yeah. Anyway, we'll probably get a copyright.
I have a drum machine and I'm not afraid to use it. Yeah, that's it.
By God, he does.
Yeah.
Paul's with us, everybody. Paul Rose is here. Lots of Pauls on our show. Hello, welcome to you all. Early Sylvester stuff was cheap, tacky, and poor. This one is a mixed bag, but it was a hitting its stride by the end. Remembrance and Nemesis were great. If they'd had another season, it could have been great. After 26, I think he means by that. They really found... between the gap between 24 and 25, they really did find the sort of way they wanted to go, didn't they? And it comes out in 25 because it was. Do you remember, everybody, if you were there? Remembrance of the Daleks onwards was a breath of fresh air because this you thought, oh God, this is completely different to 87's stories.
Yeah,
I mean, you can even see that now. I'm sure even Jack's picked up on that by watching the difference between 24 and 25. It's totally different.
I think it was certainly worthy of a few more episodes. I think with Collins last season, we'd had 13, hadn't we? Although they were double length. And the BBC promised us more episodes. And we thought, we're going to go back to 26 episode seasons. And what they actually did was 14. But it was 14 25 minutes instead of 13 45 minutes. So actually it was sliced in half effectively. And it was just the BBC being absolute gits. There's nothing new
that was
there.
more BBC creative accountancy allegedly.
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
Yeah. But do you remember the spin? Do you remember the spin, though, Ian, when people said... You said you were going to give us more, and they said yes. Well, last year you got 13 episodes. This year you're getting 14.
14, yeah.
It was shocking, really. It demonstrated the contempt that I think they had for fans and the show in the 80s, which was a shame because it would have benefited maybe from another 4 or 6 episodes, and
totally.
money to do it.
I know John Nathan Turner would have liked those extra episodes as well. He would have really have loved those extra 6 at least. I think he would have gone with. He would have loved that. Richard, I'm with you on this one. They should release the backlog of standard editions. It's frustrating to know that we standard edition collectors are so far behind. Yeah, I'm with you, Richard. We really are. We're up to 10. So we are now going to be 6 behind. I do know there's another. Well, I've been told there's another standard edition coming out before Christmas, mate. And if that's the case, I'll be talking about it here on the channel, of course. But let's keep our fingers crossed. And Sneaver and Sykes is saying to us all, wasn't mad about Sylvester at the time, but I think the Cartmel years have aged like a fine wine. And
which certain more recent things won't.
Say, mate.
Which certain more recent things won't. Not that we're talking about them, but it does age better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this is recognizably Doctor Who. We can see the Doctor in Sylvester. Let's face it. You know, he knows what he's. You know, he's respectful for the role. He's trying to build a character. He recognizes the Daleks. He recognizes the Cybermen. He's got those wonderful moments. One of my favorite moments is, of course, the bit in the Happiness Patrol where he brings that extra element in when he's on the balcony with those two. You know, and it's that lovely scene. I remember that vividly, Who viewers, from back originally watching it in 1988. Jack, honestly, the hairs on my neck were going up at that point. Here I am at 18 watching that scene going, now this is different for the Doctor. I quite like this. This is good. Making him just that little bit darker. And just a year before Batman arrived, and everybody went darker then. Woodhouse 122 saying the trailer is on the Nemesis DVD along with the season 25 launch trailer. Thanks for that, Woodhouse 122. Thank you. And Stephen is saying to us, I remember when it got cancelled because I was absolutely gutted because season 25 and 26 were so good and such lost potential of a season 27. Yeah, as I've said before, we was robbed, mate. Were we on of season 27? Richard Brooks is saying to us, Cartmel and the team were brilliant. We got some epic stories towards the end. Yeah, definitely. So when it comes to that, hello, Babette Bombshell. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you. So going back to that trailer, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I was a little bit worried because of this tweet that I'd seen. Now, this is from Pete McTeague. And he says, new classic Who. Season 25 is the next Doctor Who Blu-ray set with Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred. The Jewels in the Crown are brand new special editions of all 4 stories. I've edited and produced 3 of them, and they're glorious, full of surprise treats. So let's have a look at this, because just through that tweet, and I quite like Pete McTeague, he's not said anything that I find offensive yet or is going to annoy me yet. Him being in the show business. Yes, him being in the show business, it's a matter of time. Even today, a certain person has. Anyway, we won't go that. No, we're not going there. No, we're not acknowledging it. We're not going there. We're talking about season 25. But that sort of got me thinking, oh God, what have they done? And then I read about the Silver Nemesis version that we've just seen there, which is obviously the rushing up version. Not that it sneezes. And I just thought they can't help themselves, can they? But what do you guys think of this? Because actually, looking at these, as long as the original version is there, that I can enjoy my version, I don't mind so much if they've done this other version. But let's look at this, shall we? This is the Happiness Patrol, obviously. Happiness will prevail. So this is playing on those beautiful, beautiful sets, which the TV version, the original broadcast version, in my eyes, doesn't do justice to. So this is making the city more of a city. And we can see it in this as well. The way they've done that, look at this. So they are using all this sort of stuff. I don't know if that one particular works, but it is a screen grab. So maybe it does when we watch the actual episodes. Let us know what you think about this in the chat, everybody. This is incredible.
That's very nice.
Helen A's castle, or what you want to call it. You know, it looks like a warehouse to me, but it's there. It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? I never actually pictured her actually being in something like that. I thought it was more of a palace, but I suppose this could be.
I was actually intrigued when I heard about these different versions that they could have done Happiness Patrol in black and white, like a film noir type thing, because it's a bit like that, isn't it? You know. Well,
that's how they were supposed to film it, Paul, wasn't it? I mean, I know Andrew Cartmel wanted that. I think John Nathan Turner did to a point. I know certainly the director did, but I can't remember the story now, everybody. But there was a something that went, no, we can't do that. We've got to do it the way.
The people won't watch black and white. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Well, 1988, we were a bit snobby.
Mm.
You know. I mean, you
You
still
could
have
still
black
get
and white
black and
video.
white licenses in
Yeah.
1988, couldn't you? So
Yeah.
I think it was seen as you're paying for a color license as opposed to a black and white one. And here we've served you up black and white TV that have probably got themselves in a load of pain.
Yeah, definitely.
Even though it would have given it a real kind of look,
Oh, yeah.
I think, really classy look to it, I think.
Yeah,
it would have done.
We've also got this guy's from the Happiness Patrol as well. So there's the balcony scene I'm looking at, and you've got these flying cars in this cityscape now, which is very interesting, I think, to see.
Can I say that little cart that they drive, does that fly as well? Does it?
I reckon that's what
it goes at 3 miles an hour. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got all this. Let's have a look and see what else we've got as well. We've got a shot of the TARDIS flying through space, which is standard now. We're used to that, aren't we? But it was getting there back in the day, if you remember. They were using CGI TARDISes back then. We've got this from Remembrance, which is the Omega device leaving the Dalek ship.
That looks quite nice, really. Yeah.
Yeah. At least they've kept the Dalek ship, everyone. We've got this where the Hand of Omega approaches Scaro's son.
They've kept Scaro the same colour as in the TV movie, haven't they? So that's nice little continuity.
Yeah. And then we've got these lovely things. Now, actually, these look fantastic. Cyber ships.
They're nice, yeah. I did like the other shot. I don't know if you've got a picture of it. The one where the cyber ship is flying over the woods.
No, I haven't got that one.
That's
no,
lovely.
I've just got these.
Mind you, to be fair, in the original Silver Nemesis, the cyber spaceship, when it was flying over the trees and things, was quite good because you did get some trees in front of it, and they'd also gone to the trouble of obviously had a wind machine on the trees or something, because when the model went over, the trees were giving it some, and it really had that level of authenticity that they hadn't really done before. So I think for visual effects, this season was quite groundbreaking. They'd done really well with the practical effects and really good laser effects with the Daleks. You'd had the animatronics with Fifi, and then you'd gone into this with Silver Nemesis. They really pulled out the stops, I think.
In Silver Nemesis, did they not use a helicopter to fly over the section of the spaceship? You can see the rotor blades peeking out the top, which is interesting. Yeah,
they really did. It's interesting to see everybody's comments about this coming through as well. But that's right. Maybe that's on one of these behind-the-scene things that we're going to be getting now as well.
Maybe,
how they did that. Peter's saying to us, "I'm glad you're happy. Happy to be glad. It's so sinister." It could also be a prediction of things to come. in today's society, who knows? And controversial, but Beth is saying to us here, sorry Jack, it's covering you up there, we'll get back to you in a second. New versions always succeed at the detriment of the original version. The originals aren't moved forward into new media. It's why the original broadcast of the Five Doctors was unavailable for donkey's years. Yeah, okay. Where are you, Babette, by the way? Are you in the UK? And Sniverin Snikes is saying, kind of looks good, but I don't think this episode needs too much messing around with. I think it's like we're all saying there, this whole season, it's very odd, isn't it? It doesn't really need that much tampering too. It's like, you guys were saying earlier.
No, I agree. I think if they're going to, it's what Jack said, is, they don't need to do it unless they're going to make it better. And I still feel the same about the routine as well in Horrifying Rock. Same thing. It's like, why bother if you can't top it, But,
yeah.
I think what's interesting, JT, is that point that you just made a couple of seconds ago. Because when, many years later, Cartmel admitted, didn't he, that Happiness Patrol was taking a pop at Thatcher.
Yes. Yeah.
And, it is effectively about things like compelled behavior and compelled speech. And now what we've got as of today, and the threat of compelled speech and everything, but it's not. Margaret Thatcher was the other side of the coin, wasn't she? And now, and I'm sure when they thought at the time, they would never have thought that actually when it really came into almost like real life, it wouldn't have been Thatcher's side, it would have been the other.
Yeah, well,
shows how times change.
Who'd
Build
have thunk
high
it?
for happiness.
Who'd
Yeah.
have thunk it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, build high for happiness was quite a bit of a saying for a little while amongst some fans. I remember, going to conventions, people would say, "Oh, build high for happiness," and or from Paradise Towers, and then you've got the Happiness Patrol coming off the back of this sort of stuff, and all these sorts of things. Have a happy day, and all. It all tied in, sort of, when it came to the happiness element. There's something about a message there. It's probably not. We're probably talking absolute nonsense. Problem being, Lee is saying to us here, Happiness Patrol really could use a bit of world building CGI to lift it out of the studio setting doldrums. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, PB, isn't it? Because, the set itself is gorgeous. And when you actually see it properly on its design, like on Andrew's channel, it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic, that, because when they walked into that in studio, they must have gone, "Oh my Lord." It just doesn't come across necessarily on the way it was shot. Maybe if it was on film, it might have done.
It's on film, it was absolutely gorgeous. But I think as well, because it lacked any location, because the rest of the season's almost full of location. Almost every story's got stuff in it, some more than others. And I think if I had a couple of scenes on location, it would just helped set that up a little bit,
Yeah. Douglas Smith is with us. Hi, Douglas. I like the CGI. I still want the normal version there, but also like to see these special versions. I mean, how many of us as fans are going to go to these new versions, though, to have a look at these before we go back to the originals? Because we're all so familiar, aren't we, with the original 4 or 3 episodes of the stories. We're
I get to watch Silver Nemesis 4 times. That's going to be...
Get to see what they've done. But I reckon a lot of us, I know certainly when I get my hands on this, I will certainly go to the special editions, because it's an extra sell, isn't it, really? What this is about. So it's nice to have it. Thanks, Babette's in Florida. That it was a little bit different here, because what you were saying there about certain things being not coming out and stuff like that, we've always had them. We're very lucky, obviously, here in Doctor's Home of UK. It's always been available, things like that. They never really stopped it. So I was wondering where you were, but thank you for that. I hope you are well in Florida. Hope everything's all right.
5 Doctors, though, they did get it first, didn't they?
That's true. And we're still sore.
We are.
We are. So thank you, Sean. I like the new routine. That's in the other one, isn't it? But thank you for that one as well. But yeah, I mean, in the chat, how many of you are going to go to the new versions, these new CGI glossy versions that Pete McTeague and his team have put together before you go back and look at the originals? Be interesting to see how who's going to do that. And Richard is saying to us here, cyber ships need to buy GPS. They always seem to rely on a radio beam. Good point.
Do you remember in New Who, I think it was Good Man Goes to War, when Rory goes to meet the Cybermen in the opening of it, and in the background you see the spaceships, and they've put in the spaceships from the Invasion, which looks superb. Remember that? No?
Yeah.
Like
rotating wheels.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
It's nice.
Because it reminded me, probably wrong, of the Wheel in Space sort of.
Yeah, kind of.
There's continuity back then with all the lovely, cyber stories.
Yeah.
It was nice. We've got Sneverin again saying to us here, Silver Nemesis has its faults, but it's crammed full of strong ideas backed up by strong performances. And so Sydney Rough Diamond saying Happiness Patrol and Paradise Towers could have been 2000 AD stories. Totally.
Yeah.
And I think the whole thing about that as well is that that's where possibly the inspiration came from, because as we know, Andrew Cartmel is a big geek. He's a comic strip geek, isn't he? He was brought up on all that stuff.
He was a safe pair of hands, wasn't he, Cartmel? He came in again at a time of huge disruption and just grafted and got on with the job. And I think the fact that he earned the trust of JNT, who was obviously very, very bruised about what had just gone before, was testament to what JNT could produce when he was working with somebody that was pushing in the same direction. But it was really, really talented guy.
But JNT needs a lot of credit for that, doesn't he? For having the bravery to let someone new help out and shape it and develop it, And I think that's really fantastic of JNT to do that,
Yep, absolutely was. It really was. And yes, it's nice to see what and that little clip on this trailer we're talking about now, Andrew actually says, doesn't he, that JNT had put it into the ground, but then got energy to take it out of the ground as well, which a lot of people wouldn't have done, considering that he was forced to stay there or become redundant. With no job, which you couldn't do. You just, nobody can do. Even today, you can't really do that. Ian is saying to us, I always watch the new editions first. That's good to know. Thank you. Eastland is with us as well, saying, I liked the Happiness Patrol. I don't mind it at all. I can watch it quite happily. And then Spiel is saying to us, I'll admit, the very first thing I watch on these collections is Behind the Sofa. Ooh, that's a good point, because I go to them usually, as I said earlier, and Spiel. So I'm going to have a, what will I watch first moment when I get the standard edition?
Well, I do watch the Behind the Sofas, but I have to watch them in order, so...
Yeah. Spooky Dude is saying, look, I will for sure, but I love the original effects. Of course, we can't change those, can you? And Stephen is saying to us here, as long as the original versions are there, I will go to the new versions first. Fantastic, thank you. Problem Being is saying to us, I've seen the originals many times. I would like to get a fair shot to the special editions. Then going forward, I'll decide which I prefer. But I think mostly the originals will win out. It's because... Yeah. I agree with that. I think it's because we've got that attachment, haven't we? That's what we saw first, guys. Jack, what will you do when you get your box set? Will you go to the original version or Behind the Sofa or especially where will you go first out of all these lovely special features?
Oh, I'll check the special editions with the added effects, because there is one thing in Silver Nemesis which I think is really bad, and I don't know if this is true, but it looks like at the end, I don't know if you remember this, Paul, but I don't know what they're doing. They're kind of sat outside this old-fashioned house, and the house looks like it isn't there, and it kind of looks like a PlayStation 1 level. It's that pixelated.
It's the kind of Tudor house in the background, you mean?
Yeah, it looks like it was done on Splosh. It's absolutely... It's abysmal.
It probably was, yeah.
Well, it probably was. I mean, this was the early days of CGI. And Doctor Who, of course, got it first amongst the dramas. Doctor Who, again, as it always was, Jack, back then, was the testing bed for any new technology the BBC was buying in. And CSO was put into Doctor Who first and all this, wasn't it? All the effects.
Or Scene Sync, I think it was called as well, from Megla. Remember that?
Yeah. Do you know what, though, Jack? From our point of view, when you watched that originally in 1988, that looked great. I remember being impressed by all this CGI. I mean, even that opening and the time of the Rani with the TARDIS going through, I was like, oh, this is really good.
One thing, you'll agree with this, Jack, as well, that the Nemesis capsule has been redone for the special edition. Because that looked like a Jaffa Cake thing through space. It was a bit odd, it was really weird.
I mean, I'm not saying that the story... I mean, look, CGI can't cover up a bad story.
No.
But it's nice to have these things sometimes, as long as they don't add any current Doctor Who Easter eggs like they did in some of the animations.
Yeah.
Because in terms of that surprise, if it turns out that they've edited in Gatwa or anything, I'm cancelling my pre-order.
No, they can't do anything like that. I hate it if they do things like that. I'm really not interested in that sort of stuff.
Look what they've done to Pyramids of Mars.
Yeah.
That'd be a war crime, though, wouldn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean,
I just want the cyber leader and his troops to turn up at the front door of Bad Wolf and go, eradicate them.
yeah, that would be an interesting episode. Julianne is saying to us here, we'll check out the CGI updates first out of curiosity because so familiar with the genuine article. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? And then we can go back and look at it. I mean, the whole thing about this as well is they have to know. They absolutely have to know whom their target audience is for this stuff. And their target audience, whether they like it or not, for these limited editions and the standard edition Blu-rays, are proper fans and a certain age group. Because we know we've got people who come into Who's Views and they're not watching the new stuff at all, but they will go back and buy the original 1963 to 89 stuff. They're not going to want any of the nonsense from today shoehorned in. I certainly don't want any of the nonsense for today shoehorned into these. I want the stories as they were. And if they're going to do CGI effects, I don't want anything from the future shoehorned into it because it just takes it away from the story.
I would be intrigued to see, because I think the new series stuff comes out in August, and then this comes out in October, how they compete with each other in the charts. I'd be intrigued to see that. That's a job for Bedweer again, I think, perhaps.
Yeah, well, we can look at all that as well, because obviously the charts will be... I mean, this one, I can tell you now, this was released yesterday, and I can also tell you it's right now #1 in the Amazon charts again. So each time these limited editions come out, it goes to #1. It's #1, as it was a couple of hours ago. It was #1 in 3 of the Amazon charts, including Blu-ray sales, TV and film, and sci-fi. So it was number 1 in each of those charts, and it immediately goes there. Now it'll stay there for a wee while as people get the pre-orders in, and then it comes down. But this is the only range really that gets 2 bites of the cherry, because the limited editions go to number 1, and then the standard editions repeat that.
Yeah.
So they earn a lot of money, Jack, on these limited editions, especially on shows that are from 1963 to 1989. I mean, these are the real big sellers. And so, Paul, I reckon this will outperform Series 1 of Disney.
I think so too. I was just wondering how much it would do that. That was all.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep an eye on it, because as I say, it's there.
Yeah. I think people really, really go for it. I genuinely do.
When I last looked, the pre-order for the Disney Who 2024 series pre-order wasn't at number 1. That's when I last looked.
It's still stunning and brave and popular.
Yeah.
And for every one of us, there's another 4 or 5 coming in. So it must be huge.
Yeah.
And the action figures will be just as big sellers as well, surely.
Yeah, those figures have to be wrong, GT. They have to be wrong.
We'll have to be watching that as well. Forbidden Man is saying this is something to enjoy after the rubbish that was screened. No, we're not talking about that. We're not going to be talking about that nonsense we've just spent 8 weeks watching. Not talking about that. This is all season 25. We don't want to acknowledge the nonsense that was putting us through a load of television nonsense over the last few weeks.
You know, when you say about the additional effects, I mean, as a rule, I tend to I'll go for those first, again, because like others, I'm very familiar with what the originals look like. But I think sometimes, especially when it's the older stories, they come quite close to how your memory recalls it. You know, you always, they had 3 Daleks, but for some reason your memory tells you that there was loads of them. And then the special editions. And I think the special editions for me peaked with the extent and care that they went to with Day of the Daleks. You know, filming scenes and adding additional Daleks in, and filming it on an authentic camera as well. It was just, I think that was peak new edition. And it just looked fantastic. But it rendered it almost as you probably remembered it at the time, thinking back, and how maybe reading the Target books then made you imagine it was, because they would play an influence on your actual memory for the stories that you'd seen years before. And I think they do that. They almost bring that memory to life. I mean, sometimes they die on their ass, but on the whole, some of them look quite good. Like Planet of the Daleks, I enjoyed as well, with the big Dalek army scene and things.
Do you know, I can't, as Sneaver and Sykes is agreeing with you, I don't like all the digital turd polishing as a rule, but I loved what they did with Day of the Daleks. I've only watched it once because it didn't engage me. And I was also, there was something around, the Dalek voices were changed in it as well. So for me, it was just a little bit too far, because I know the production team at the time, they got the Dalek voices wrong back in the 70s. I understand that. I'll have to go back and rewatch it. And you're mentioning that they've done a version of Planet of the Daleks. I don't remember that either, because I've obviously watched it once, but I've watched the originals more, so I'm retaining that information more.
Didn't they? Because the Dalek ice cave scene was done with those 60s toys. I think they switched them for CGI Daleks, but I kind of don't like that, because I love that 60s Dalek toy, and it's just kind of funny seeing it, you know, bumping into themselves like they've been wound up, and now they're just going.
Well, they were. Yeah.
I love the original as well. Planet of the Daleks is the earliest full story that I remember, and the earliest episode I remember was the end of Frontier the week before. And my memory of that, there was just 2 Daleks appearing over the cliff with the Master, but my memory says there was a whole line of hundreds of them. Yeah. But I love the original Planet of the Daleks, even with the Louis Marx models and everything. But at the same time, what they did with the CGI for the Daleks in there looks more authentic, how I would imagine it now, being a Dalek Sado.
Well, the whole point about this is that they've obviously had some good feedback from it, because here we are coming, they've done it with all 4 stories of season 25. All of them have an alternative, newer, glossier version with up-to-date CGI in it. En Spiel is saying to us here in Silver Nemesis, who looks at the crowd of tourists around Windsor Castle to see who they can spot? I've been doing that since 1988.
Me too. Yeah.
As well. It's nice to see them all, because of course this was supposed to be John's final season. The 25th was going to be John's final season. We've been told, no, he's leaving. He'd been told he was leaving. He was going to go off to Pastures New. So that was the cameos, wasn't it, from people he knew? And then he was forced back big stories there. Domgo is saying to us here that CGI asteroid in the titles always blew me away. I like the asteroid and Silver Nemesis with the Nemesis in it. I quite like
that shot's really nice. But when it kind of gets sent off by, I think, is it the Cybermen? It goes off and it just looks a bit naff, doesn't it? Yeah.
But it's funny, isn't it? Bless.
The two sparklers and it's Bahuki, as it goes off. It's like...
Ian Scales is saying to us here, listen, guys, don't forget they had very little money to make Doctor Who. It was about 30p. JNT was a genius at moving things around to get more for the money. And this season, of course, said more about that, to be quite honest, because Greatest Show in the Galaxy was nearly a Sharda incident, wasn't it, guys? And he made sure it wasn't by having the whole tent put up in the car park.
It really works so much better in a tent, a real tent, than filming a tent in the studio. You know what I mean? It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But this is one of those memorable things because it's such a short season, 14 weeks at 25 minutes, and it could have gone down by 4 episodes. That would have been such a shame to end it with Silver Nemesis. But this is all going to come hopefully through when we look at these documentaries and what have you. Even if it's the original DVD documentaries, they must have built on them really with more information that's come through about this. And of course, John spoke about it as well in various interviews and what have you about what happened there and how they got around it. But I'm actually quite looking forward to it. Greatest Show is a great story. I like the Greatest Show in the Galaxy. I really do. It's quite spooky, I think. And I was thrilled in '88 watching it. It's also interesting. But I want to see. I'm interested to see what they've done with CGI effects. I'm interested to see how it cleans up because I think it's going to look stunning.
And it's got Peggy Mount in it, which is always good for a laugh. The
late great Peggy Mount. That back as our youth on the panel. She was a legend. She was. My goodness. Oh, wow. The reputation went before Peggy Mount, wasn't she? Was one of our proper turns, wasn't she?
She really was.
Yeah.
And there she was in Doctor Who. Good grief.
Can I just say as well, can I point if people can find them? There's nice little snippets given away by JNT in his CD memoirs that were released.
Yes. Yes.
He recorded obviously himself. And he goes into a bit of detail because his involvement was right back to Troughton, wasn't it? But he gives quite a bit of information about when Greatest Show was at risk. 2 lovely editions, 2 lovely volumes.
Yeah.
Again, a nice little time capsule.
Here we go here from Stephen, who's confirming what I was saying when I checked earlier on. Stephen 25 is now the #1 seller on Amazon. Yeah. They always are. These are
never
huge,
never doubted it from it.
Yeah, BBC Studios are onto winners here, and they know it. And whatever happens, this could possibly be the last bite of the cherry when it comes to these. Because what's going to happen next? At the moment, we've only got Blu-ray. I can't see them trying to do it in 4K because that's going to cost them too much. And who was going to buy them again in 4K? So this could be the last time we get. Certainly, hopefully, possibly. In a sense, in our lifetimes, because we've bought them.
I'm not buying them again. I'm sorry, I've bought them too many times already. I'm sorry.
I know. VHS, DVD, sometimes in several formats on both of those, and now the Blu-rays. And I always swore I'd never get the Blu-rays, Ian. But here we are doing it again. But so thank you for checking for that one for me, Stephen. And we've got Mark here, Mark Milford, joining us, saying 35 years old, and we're still talking about it. We won't be doing that for Disney. Who? Disney what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah, that those 8 weeks of sheer hell that they put us through. Yeah. No, we're not talking about.
Interestingly, though, they do seem to be slowing up of the release rate because we had season 15 early on this year, and we've got season 25, so we're now down to 2, aren't we? So it's going to be 2 a year if we're lucky.
So sad, isn't it? And we would, I heard ages ago they were looking at trying to do 4 a year.
Yeah,
maybe somebody actually somewhere said, "Oh, look! If we keep doing it that often, we're gonna be out of stock after money. We're gonna because even the blue at first the standard editions were coming out 4 a year. You got 2 at once, beginning of the year, end of the year. Now we're not. We've had 1 this year, and that was season 22. And we're not happy about it, are we, fellow?
No, we're not, and there won't be one before Christmas, will there? That's not going to happen, is it? Not in October.
I think. Well, this is because this is coming out in October. This is going to be the limited edition for the Christmas market. There is allegedly there is another standard edition coming out for the Christmas market, but I'll believe it when I see it. BBC Studios. Nicholas Courtney in there somewhere? Says Sneveron.
Yeah, you can hear his very distinctive voice when he's speaking as an extra. It's very interesting. Yeah,
I know, and he shouldn't have been. Typical Nick. He shouldn't have been speaking, and he does. And Domgo is saying to us here, look at this, Jack. I've just realised I'm going to have to ditch buying the season 1 box set to get this set. Oh, well, never mind.
What a shame.
Why would you want to get out? No, we're not talking about it. No, we're not going to be talking about that. No. Who's going to, you guys on the panel here, what out of all those special features is the big thing you're looking forward to?
Daleks.
What God tell us, Florian?
I do like I just said, I do like the new effects, and I am looking forward to just seeing how they've done.
Great point, Julianne. Julianne is saying to us here, I don't want to see any CGI TARDISes in a vortex with a dog sitting on it in these limited editions. Great point, Julianne. Sorry, Ian.
No, it's fine. It's a very good point.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing the Remembrance, and dodgy, overdone explosions aside. I'm just curious to see what it looks like. Because, like I say, the laser beam effects and things like that were fairly groundbreaking for Doctor Who at the time. They weren't just pasted over badly matched beams. There were actually bolts and things like that, and it was different for Doctor Who. But to see them done again with a certain level of modern technology will almost like bring it to life again. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all of it, but particularly Remembrance. It is a fantastic Dalek story. It really is.
Andy, I'm glad you're looking forward to that. Andy's just checked this. The Steelbook for Series 1 is at number 15. I take it that's at the Amazon charts, is it, Andy? I knew it hadn't charted in the top 10 because there's no audience. So here we go. But there you go. Who else? Jack or Paul? What are you looking forward to out of all these lovely, lovely features?
Well, being a big fan of Silver Nemesis, I'm looking forward to that being redone, because I think some of the spaceship effects are brilliant. The first episode one's good. When it arrives at the end of the episode, that's a really good shot. But good if they tidy up the rest of them and make that look better. And I'm looking forward to watching Silver Nemesis 4 times. That's my thing.
All in one day, everybody.
Oh, probably yes. It's only 4 hours, is it? Just about.
It's 3 episodes. It's fine. He's going to be able to get them done all in one day. Jack, what about you? What's your favorite bit of this box set? What are you looking forward to the most?
Well, I'm going to say it. I don't really watch the behind the sofas stuff because I don't like these celebrities at all, to be quite honest.
I love how you say celebrities.
Well, they're not, no.
No.
Bad experiences with a lot of them. But yeah, I've just loved the special effects, and I can't wait to watch Silver Nemesis and Remembrance and Greatest Show. Just all of them. I mean, I didn't like the Happiness Patrol, but I've only seen it once, and sometimes I don't like a story, then I watch it again, then I like it. So I'll see. But the city looks really cool. It gives it a kind of a Blade Runner kind of feel to it, like dystopian. It's a bit tatty. But I kind of think it fits. It fits Classic Who a bit. Not to say that it's tatty, but I mean it's not so over the top that you're like, well, that's obviously been added.
Yeah, it blends in a bit more, is what you mean.
Yeah. I really like that shot. I like the.
Well, you like the balcony shot.
Yeah, I don't like the palace. I think it's obvious that that's just a copy and paste of the same window.
Oh, right. I see what you're saying there. Yeah, it's not what I thought Helen A would be in. I was thinking more sort of a Buckingham Palace type, mansiony type palace. To me, that looks like a warehouse
or Checkers or something like that.
Something like that, Paul. Yeah. I don't know. I wonder if they went back to the original scripts, Jack, as well, for these sort of things to say, well, this is what Graham Curry in this instance would have thought of or described it as, and they just couldn't do it back then. Because, I'm a great believer in, if you're going to do something like this, you must go back either to the original team, if they are available, which as we get further through time, of course, they're not, or go back to the original scripts, which are available. It's
why I didn't like Evil of the Daleks animation that much, because you can see that they went off script several times.
Yeah.
There's surviving footage of the Dalek Emperor getting destroyed, and there's even a documentary of the guy saying he kept a pulsating light. So it kind of was like, you would think, is it still alive? Is it kind of give that little hint? In the animation, they just completely removed that in exchange for lots of explosions, and it just wasn't how I pictured it looking like. So I was a bit disappointed with that.
No,
But it looks
that's
like
fair
with
enough.
this one, they've tried to stay really true to it, which is really cool.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean, a lot of you are saying in the chat as you're agreeing with what the guys are saying here. Peter's actually saying asbestos this week's Monster for Greatest show. Gosh, do you remember the days? Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was a big fear for gosh, wasn't it really? Because suddenly in the papers it was everywhere. I mean, you can't imagine. What's saying? Sean was saying to me there, guys, about the Dalek voices you were mentioning. Game Behave, JT. Those original voices were awful. I know. I'm going to go back and rewatch that Day of the Daleks at some point. Stephen was saying the new effects for Day of the Daleks take it from an 8 to a 10, and Sean was saying, remember my thrill at that scene. Richard was also agreeing with you guys about saying that special edition is great. They took the time to use the same film and camera to match up the footage. And hello, Yokai63. Hope you are well. Lovely to see you, lovely. I much prefer the redone Dalek voice in Day of the Dalek special edition. I can't watch the original anymore. Fair enough. It's going to be interesting, though, isn't it, guys, to think with these 4 new special editions of these 4 stories coming through, will there be people that actually say, oh, I prefer this version now, I won't go and look at the original? I mean, this is BBC, the team putting these together, covering all their bases. They are honoring the fact that people like us will want the original versions there, and you must never touch them. But hey up, look what else we can do for you. So you have those alternatives. So it's actually quite, it's being nice to the audience for once, isn't it? Because being able to say, here's your originals, but what do you think of these as well? Do you know what I'm saying?
I will be very upset though if Nick Briggs has inserted himself into Remembrance.
Oh,
if you want this updated effects, you have to have the updated voices as well, because I hated that in the colorized Daleks, because I preferred the 60s voices anyway. No offense to Nick, you're cool where you used to be, but I'm just getting so sick of hearing your voice. I just want different Dalek voices, and just don't you dare put yourself in that story.
Yeah, I mean the worst. I mean that. Sorry, but the Daleks did have different voices, didn't they? All of them had the Genesis, Destiny, Resurrection. They were different, weren't they, Ian? So yeah.
Genesis, for example, had changing voices throughout it. I mean, that first Dalek where Ronson stops it killing the Doctor. That's a very early nasally kind of.
It's Michael Wisher, isn't it?
Yeah, but by the time you get it to the end, where the Dalek's addressing camera right at the end, it's for me, it's the perfect Dalek voice. It really is, which I think is Roy Skelton in that scene. And I don't think it's been topped after that, to be honest. And then when they come back in Revelation of the Daleks, they're bloody awful. But of course, then you've got the comparison with the old Daleks that come in at the end, which are slightly more faithful. But the new Davros Necros Daleks, the voices are awful. And then you get these, which I didn't mind at the time, to be quite honest. They were a little bit more modulated and had more of a tone to them, but I could live with them. But yeah, I don't want Nick Briggs in that. I will be heartily annoyed. He does insert himself into too much, and I wish.
Well, to defend him on Day of the Daleks, I think he was asked to do that. He didn't kind of push it on anybody, but I think it works well in that, because I prefer his voices in Day of the Daleks to the originals. I have to say them.
I'll give it that. I do that.
Yeah,
I prefer the 60s Dalek voice to Nick's voice. Power of the Daleks are my favourite Daleks. There's something so sinister about the voice, especially when it's like, why do human beings kill other human beings?
Yeah.
It's like, get on with
Roy
your work.
Skelton's my favourite overall, though, I have to say. He's my favourite Dalek voice.
God love him. Roy
The
Skelton.
Troughton Dalek voices, though, they really do, and especially as you get into Evil, especially when it bursts out of the cabinet and confronts a Doctor for the first time, they really carry, for a monotone, they really carry the hate that Daleks have. Because Daleks aren't emotional.
Who are you?
I
think Jack's after a job now. I think that's what it is.
That's his audition piece. There we go.
Yeah.
We've got Lisa saying to us here, wasn't the Candyman's head a licorice also? Yes, the whole thing about the Candyman was he was made up of various sweets which were recognizable, and that's why Bassett's at the time went off their head. It really was quite funny, actually, to see Doctor Who in the press for probably the wrong reasons. Stephen was saying to us there as well, clowns and weirdos. And Pete was saying to us, Peggy Mount scared me rotten as a kid. Problem being is saying to us, the chief clown was incredible. He nearly got done in that trap gate falling on his head. He did, didn't he? Yeah, yeah. Ian Reddington, of course, playing that as well. Fantastic. And Sean is telling us, greatest show is the one I'm most looking forward to. And the sly dig that we all got at the time, which is now infamous, of course, at the Doctor Who fandom and science fiction fandom and comic fandom, of course, with Geeky Face in there. Yeah, we all got it.
Yeah.
We all got it. Babette is saying to us here, if I have one fault with the era we are discussing, it would be the overall lighting. It was very overlit. All the stories would be improved with dramatic lighting. We all agree with that. It was the BBC mandate at the time, though. There's nothing they could do about it. They were lucky to get what they did in things like Battlefield and Greatest Show here because they were outdoors, and also to an extent to Happiness Patrol. It was just the way they did things back then as well, wasn't it? Problem being is also saying to us here, the Greatest Show in the Galaxy was the best use of a car park ever. Yeah, it's probably houses now. No, it's not. I know that. And Peggy Mount was a force and so fun, worth looking her up on the tube of Who.
Especially with Tom Baker and Sid James.
Just for George and the Dragon, yeah.
We've spoken about that many times. Always makes me laugh thinking about that. Brilliant. Andy is saying to us here, get your pre-orders in because they will be sold out. It's a good point. And Pete is saying to us that holograms could be next, so stop it, behave. I'm not going to be doing that. And so Sydney Rough Diamond says to us, 4K is expensive to produce. Yeah. So I'm really thinking, look, this could be the last time we get any of these cleaned up. But John is also saying, look, I'm waiting for the 4K. We should mount a Peggy Mount revival. Oh, yeah, the kids wouldn't be able to stand her. They're terrified. How many different times can these Greetheads milk our love for this show? Well, what's this now? Let's have a look, shall we? Let's look at it together. VHS. How many editions of Spearhead from Space have you guys got? And we haven't even had season 7 yet on the Blu-rays. So
3 at least. Yeah.
Well, there was the Blu-ray singular, wasn't there? There was two editions on VHS. A steel book, 2 editions on DVD.
Yeah,
quite a few
and you
times.
count the Target book as well. We've been through that as well. So
yeah, so many times, and we fall for it each time. Let's have a look. What else have we got in here for you? Nice to see you all in the chat. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the way to start your weekend, isn't it? This is the way to start your weekend. Lisa is saying to us here, I'm surprised we got the first Doctor Blu-ray set, but no second Doctor yet. Now, this is an interesting point, Lisa, because I'm actually of the theory we're not going to get any 60s ones yet because it's a dodgy period because they're incomplete. So I reckon they're just going to do all the colour episodes first and then worry about it in a sporadic style. But that's just me. Ian Scales is saying to us, I loved how in Remembrance, when a soldier died, everyone reacted as if they actually were real people, which was the development from them being immaterial in previous decades. As we said there, though, and we've talked about Remembrance on our Who's Views reviews, there is that beautiful feel of the 60s that just oozes through. It does feel like a November evening in old Britain, with the fogs coming in and the fashions and I can watch that so well today all the time and just feel elements of my childhood, even though I came in the 70s. The elements of the 60s were still hanging over, and I see it in those beautiful 4 episodes. It's amazing.
I think it's a great story, but my favourite episode 1 is one of my favourite episodes. It's superb. Absolutely superb.
Yeah. YW's here with us saying he's on his lunch break. Hello, well, nice to see you, YW2324. Hope you are enjoying your lunch there. Nice to see you. What else we got here? Oh, and Sneveran is saying Remembrance actually caused a ruckus in London when they were filming it. Yeah, that's the other thing that made the papers.
Yeah.
And John Nathan Turner was loving it all because it was free publicity he hadn't arranged.
That's it, when health and safety didn't exist. That was it.
Yeah, no, those
firemen turned up.
Yeah. Pete's saying to us here, don't forget the pipe people, or did they have a name? No, they were the pipe people, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were the pipe people.
They were really good, like them, yeah.
That was another Stephen Moore thing, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
With the masks and the costumes.
Forgotten the pipe people.
How can you forget the pipe people?
Gordon Bennett. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, Gordon Bennett. Yeah, I love that. That was really quite funny as well, actually, wasn't it? How Ace influences their language. It's so funny. Really good stuff. I mean, we've got all this to come again with this lovely box set that's coming out here. Let's have a look here. Thank you very much, as I say, to everybody. Sean is saying to us here, I'm like that. I prefer the improved effects. Great. Thank you so much. And Jack, Sean is agreeing with you. I agree, Jack. The tonal Dalek voices were brilliant. I used to get chills back in the day. Absolutely. I mean, that's what another element of what made the Daleks popular in the original 60s, wasn't it? Episodes, because the kids had never heard anything like that before. And it was scary. It scared them.
And the music.
And the music, the theme tune. But that tailed over, I think, to the modern day, really, with that voice, the look of them. Each generation has never seen anything like a Dalek before. So you can't necessarily get complacent when you're little, because when you're introduced to them, everybody goes, what is that? Because it's just ingenious.
Yeah.
What have we got here? Enspiel is saying there's one moment in Remembrance when the Dalek Supreme sounds like Zippy. Well, there's a reason for that.
I wonder what that might be.
I know. God love Roy. He was a lovely man. He was absolutely a gentleman. So many laughs with that man. And what you don't like my voice, exterminate, says Rick. And Gavin Graham is here with us saying, I wish I enjoyed the cyber voices since 2006, but I never had. Stay away from Nemesis bricks. The brilliant thing about those cyber voices in the 80s was that humanity, wasn't it? From Earthshock onwards, the fact that it was that deep, resonating, altered voice. Exactly. Yeah. Quite scary in itself, Jack.
Yeah, I love David Banks.
I love the gloves. Those cricket gloves are amazing when they do that.
It did kind of like
amazing, don't they?
It did annoy me a bit because the Cybermen aren't supposed to have emotions, but you could put a counter in the screen of how many times he gets annoyed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You could actually.
I kind of liked it though because it made him sinister.
Yeah.
It's my favourite bit is where it's.
Sorry, Jack. Go on.
No, you go on, man.
I was just going to say. I mean, in Revenge, they'd started to develop. The cyber leader had started to develop a bit of a personality.
Yeah, but he was so. It was funny. It was just like
he was quite camp for a Cyberman, wasn't he?
Yeah, destined to be ruled of all the cosmos. I can't.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant, isn't it? That is very good. Bassett's would have sold more sweeties, so they shouldn't have been too upset. I reckon had they, it's because we all know it's because the Happiness Patrol's version. And the BBC to this day will say, no, it was nothing to do with it. Come on, we see it as well. But it's because he was bad. And they didn't want their sweets associated with a bad character because he is evil. He's a nasty piece of work, isn't he? The Candyman. He loves what he does, which is killing people. He loves it. It's just you wouldn't get that in this nonsense that we have to put up with today. You wouldn't get anything like the Candyman, would you? Oh, no.
Wouldn't surprise, would you?
No,
exactly.
I thought in Bad Wolf, those robots, the android and those two that were on the dress up thing, they were quite like the Candyman.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Where he
got what? Sorry, I missed that. Say that again. Where?
Bad Wolf, the android from the Weakest Link game, and when Captain Jackson, that sort of dress up thing, they've got the chainsaw and they say like I said, face off. I thought that was pretty good.
No, it's true. It's true. Paul Ashworth is saying to us here, Ace was brilliant with her Nitro 9 and baseball bat. The thing with Ace was she was a breath of fresh air back then, wasn't she? This was her first series.
Yeah.
And she really was. She came in from the moment she's there with Remembrance, she's just there. And you grow to really like Ace throughout these 4 stories, don't you? I mean, you don't agree? I suppose you had to be there, Jack, because I know it's not for everybody, but I did. I certainly was there back in '88 thinking, well, this is different, and it's a little bit streetwise for a companion. This is a little bit what's going on out there in the 80s.
I just find her cringe.
You up?
I find her cringe.
Oh, why?
She can't act. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, it's your opinion. You don't have to apologise.
I mean, neither can anyone since Jodie Whittaker, but it's
No, we're not talking about the new stuff, Jack. We're not going to be talking about that. We're not talking about the 8 weeks of hell we've just been through either. We're not talking about that. No.
There was a moment I remembered from the documentary when we were talking about the Cybermen in the making of Silver Nemesis. There's a great rehearsal scene where they're practicing this shot with David Banks as the cyber leader, trying to threaten the Doctor with a coat hanger. Do you remember that in the it's the rehearsal sequence. It's brilliant. It's very funny. And David Banks has a fantastic robotic movement as a cyber leader and does this great zoom with the coat hanger. It's hilarious. Watch out for it when you get a chance to see it. It's really funny.
Yeah, when it comes out within the next decade on standard edition.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about season 25 on the limited edition Blu-ray box sets. It was announced yesterday. It's on the way. It's available for you to pre-order now, as it says on the ticker down at the bottom there. It's on all the usual websites from all the usual stockers. Available to pre-order for you now, and the recommended retail price is $54.99, and it will be in your grubby little protuberances around about the 21st of October here in 2024. We're all very excited about it, I think. I mean, it's great, isn't it, just to see that it's, here we are. All these years later. This was the 25th anniversary season, 1988, and here it is getting this glossy Blu-ray edition. And it's number one in the charts.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic, isn't it? I mean, guys, it gives you a sort of, as Doctor Who fans of a certain age, you can go, oh, that's great, that. And
I'm quite proud of that. I'm proud of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we should be, because it's beat all the current nonsense. No, we're not talking about all that nonsense. We're not going to be talking about 8 weeks of hell we've just been put through. No, we're not going to be talking about that. But, there it is. Yeah, there we go.
But it has. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a fact.
Yeah. We enjoyed it at the time. We realized that it was on the up again. We thought it was good. And 30 odd years later, it's proving the point, isn't it?
Yeah. We've got this. You're absolutely right. I totally agree with you. Here we are. And congratulations. It's curious. I wish John was here. I wish Nathan Turner was around to see this as well.
Yeah.
He'd love all this. He'd be so proud. He'd be on every blooming documentary going.
It'd be interesting, I know we're not talking about it, but it'd be interesting if he was. I don't think he would say the right thing like so many are doing nowadays. He
Depends
would
if there was a job in it for him, Ian.
Well, yeah. He'd tell his grandmother, wouldn't he? But I mean, I think he would just, because he loved it so much. Yeah. It meant so much to him. I don't think he would sell it down the river like a lot of the
others. It's such a shame. Again, it's one of these things. It's such a shame, because I was saying this to a friend of mine who really, really knew him. I would love to have seen that interview where he's talking about the versions today on one of these Blu-ray box sets of his era. But we wouldn't have done that. Oh, there wouldn't have been no hanky panky. Oh, do you know what I mean? Oh, Ian Scales is saying to us here, it's curious that these 4 stories have so much more weight and life than many stories in the past few or more years. And then we've got hit and miss, and I expected this really for Ace, because we had it at the time. I remember when the show came off in '89 and the conventions carried on. Ace was always one of those hit and misses, but she was always a hit for me, because I liked her at the time. But these points are credible. We've got here Sean Cry, I could never take Ace seriously, and problem being is saying to us, Ace was pure cringe to 13-year-olds like me in '88, because no one was saying Wicked anymore then. Now I remember saying that back at the time when she came along, said, are the kids talking like this? And because I was older, because I was 18 in '88, and I had other 18-year-old friends, we thought that's what was going on back then. We thought, oh, well, they must be saying this, but it's absolutely wrong, isn't it? Steve is saying Ace, and Garbage is saying to us here, Ace, pass me that Nitro 9 you're not carrying. Brilliant line, absolutely brilliant. Lisa is saying here, Ace was perfect fit for that era. She always called the Doctor Professor, and I love that. I didn't personally. I grated on that. I don't know why. It just got to me. And she was like nothing else with her introduction. Couldn't wait until season 25, says Peter. Brilliant. So still hit and miss. No, actually, to this one, Andy, wasn't it Silver Nemesis where the water tank effect go wrong? No, that's Battlefield. So that's season 26, which is out already, isn't it? That's it. It's all out. So, guys, from your point of view, here it is. Season 25, limited edition, on the way, available to pre-order right now. Hit or miss for you guys?
Oh, definite hit for me.
And me.
And me, I pre-ordered it, so that should answer it.
It's definitely a hit. Well done. Yeah, that's really good. All right, so I think the majority of us are looking for all this, isn't it? Dalek Eye is in there as well, saying the appreciation for Sylvester is growing. Yes, it is, isn't it? And it's nice to see there is definitely a renaissance going on with this era, and it's just nice to see that it's that people are able to see it, and there's obviously love and care putting these collections together. So this is your 16th limited edition one. Let's have a look at this. Richard, yes, I know. Season 25 years to wait for the standard. Yeah, we'll get there eventually, mate. Honestly, we will. We will get there. And there's what Dalek I was saying. Hello, mate. The appreciation for Sylvester is growing. Absolutely. Paul is saying that classic scene, of course, loved it when Ace took on the Daleks, which he seems to recreate all the time now. You know, come on, knock it off. And they're all saying, look, it's a fantastic cover. Yeah, definitely. Lisa is also saying, love the cover. Again, Lee Binding. Good work, son. What's next? What hit? Says Andy. Stephen is also saying it's a hit. So thank you for that. That's great there as well. And Duck Soup is saying hit. But I have to wait for the USA version. Yes, you do. And I'm not, goodness knows when that's all coming abroad. I hope they get their acts together this time. So you will get them fairly quickly, because there's been a lot of troubles there, isn't there? Really has been a lot of trouble. I'll tell you what, though. So it's a hit. This is where we're up to. Let's put season 25 on the shelf then, everybody. This is where we're up to at the moment when it comes to the limited editions. As you can see there, that's where it's all looking at. So let's put season 25 on the shelf. There it is there.
Yay.
How's that going to look for you all? Isn't that fantastic? Yeah, it's going to
That
be...
looks lovely. Yeah.
It's going to be with you from the 21st of October, hopefully. But there you go. That's what it's going to look like. So season 25 is now on the Who's Views shelf.
When you see them all together, they look absolutely gorgeous, don't they? Really
Let's
do.
do it
The
again.
artwork's amazing, isn't it? It's really nice.
Yeah, it is.
And that's what you call keeping the continuity going on these things, isn't it? But do you know what? When you look at it all, guys, not many to go. You've got 2 Pertwees to go. You've got 2 Tom Bakers to go. You've got 1 Peter Davison to go. We now have the complete Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy with 25 coming out. And then the rest of it, of course, is all 1960s stuff. And that's where I think this might just fall down a little bit. I don't know what your opinions are of that.
I think if they brought out season 2, they'll bring out the majority stuff if they can. They might end up doing an amalgamation of 3 and 4 or something like that. I don't know, but
one thing I was hoping, if one good thing of Disney taking over, we could get some actual good animations.
fat chance of that.
That's not coming, Jack, is it? They've got other priorities there. If they're still involved, alleged, we will we'll soon find out on that one as well. Bring it on, says Sean, with all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And what's Andy saying? The John Pertwee's the John Pertwee ones look a bit naff with his likeness. Do they? Let's have another look. Bring it up. Season 9's a bit weird, I suppose.
He
Is
has
that one? He's got
Season
6
9
fingers
is
in that one, is it?
Season 9 does look a little bit flat or squashed, maybe. But
I was trying to think about what they might have in future covers. Tom might have the Tracer or something for
the Key to Time,
perhaps, or something like that. You know, who knows?
Oh, definitely. That's going to be a brilliant one, that one.
And
as
maybe
well,
season 7, the Doctor might have the Auton Sphere or something. Who knows? Something like that.
Well, it's all to come, isn't it, everybody? It's all to come.
I do it with just giving ideas, but for series 7, it's got to be lava and explosions and fire, and it's got to be the brigade leader, a Silurian, a Primord, and maybe the Doctor holding the sphere from Spearhead.
That's a good point, actually, because we had heard, actually, I don't know about you guys in the chat, but we had heard that this particular release was either going to be 25 or season 7. So what's the betting that season 7 could be the next one? And Jack, you've just cheered me up a little bit there, because none of the companions, of course, have ever been featured on these covers, but this could be a way for Nick Courtney to sneak in on season 7 as the brigade leader. Might actually get that. Would be quite good, wouldn't it? That would be wonderful.
I did think maybe season 7 would be last, because as you say, there's a individual release of Spearhead, and they'd want to keep that selling as long as possible.
And it needs a lot of restoration, that series as well, doesn't it? There's lots of work to be done on some of it, isn't there?
Yeah. But who knows? I mean, oh gosh, we might get it. We might get it soon, you know, because it's all filmed as well. You know, those episodes would look.
Maybe that'll be the release sort of springtime, like they had with season 15, perhaps next year. Who knows?
They've got to be very careful, though, haven't they? Because if they release something like Series 7 in spring, what's it going to clash with on BBC One? And what's it going to make look absolutely crap?
Yes.
Crap there.
Worse.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at that again. Let's have a look at the Who's Views Blu-ray shelf. Yeah, so look, not many there at all, everybody now to do, you know, to collect on this. So maybe that's the reason, as we're trying to speculate here as well, that they're only now bringing out 2 a year. Because look at that, out of the color series, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow,
Yeah.
hasn't that gone quick? And yeah, so we've got 11 standard editions, haven't we, Rich? We've got 11 standards edition there, so we are a bit behind. We are a bit behind. So maybe that's the other reason they're only giving us 2 a year. Because it extends the sales. It's all business at the end of the day, isn't it? But there we go. That's the Who's Views shelf for this Blu-ray there. I hope you are all very excited about season 25 coming. You can tell from us that we're going to be looking at that a little bit more. When it arrives at some point, maybe even early in the new year, when the guys have analyzed it, I would like to do a review on the box set as well, with everybody that's bought it coming back in and telling us what their favorite aspects are, because we've been meaning to do these for ages, but they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But we will like to do that as well. We'll get ourselves organized on doing that, and we'll come back and we'll get all those done for you as well. So make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. If you have already subscribed to the channel, then please make sure you are still subscribed, because we have had some people saying that they have been unsubscribed. And as I say, that's nothing to do with us at all. But sneer on, look at you. Oh, bad. I want my season 21. Tractators, yeah. And but that would be the end of the Davison series then as well. I reckon we will get a Pertwee next. I really,
It's only the right and proper thing to do.
But in the meantime, of course, don't forget that here on Who's Views, we are going to be going to the Pertwee era this coming Sunday on the 7th of July, as we celebrate what would have been John Pertwee's birthday with our review of Death to the Daleks, live 8 o'clock UK time. Come and join us for that. I'm really looking forward to that. It's so good to be talking about Doctor Who again, isn't it? Rather than all that nonsense. No, we're not talking about all that nonsense we've been talking about for 8 weeks. But no, we're not going to be talking about that at all. But it's so nice to kick off talking about proper Doctor Who again with this brand new release. Season 25 is on the way, everybody. Isn't that fabulous? And don't forget, as I said at the top of the show, lots of unlimited rice pudding is coming your way as well. It's got to happen, hasn't it? You've got to watch Remembrance with your unlimited rice pudding. That's all from us tonight.
I just say, DT, before we go, it's ace. That's what it is.
It's ace. Listen, thank you to Jack, thank you to Third Doctor Ian, thank you to Paul for joining me for this Merchandise Paradise Live. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for all your comments. Hope you've enjoyed it as well. Give us a thumbs up if you have. And don't forget, as I say, do make sure that you are still subscribed to the channel and come back and see us for Death to the Daleks this coming Sunday. Until we see you again, thanks for joining us. Take care of yourselves. If you're starting your weekend, have a great weekend. We will see you very soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.